Hey, this is Chase Sexton. You're listening to the MotoXpod show.
What's up, you guys? Jeremy McGrath here. You are listening to MotoXpod show.
It's that time again. Welcome back to the MotoXpod show, the Vital MX MotoXpod show, presented by Racetech and Yamaha Motor USA. Yamaha crushing it this weekend in Arlington, winning the 450 Supercross race, as well as sweeping the podium in the 250 West division. Killing it, Yamaha Motor USA. We're going to talk about Arlington Triple Crown, Cooper Webb winning 2 weekends in a row, Hayden Deegan getting back to form, winning the Triple Crown in Arlington. Lots to discuss tonight on episode 345. We've got Eli Tomac and Nathan Ramsey joining us, so it's going to be a lot of fun, a couple of big guests. Before we get going, get rolling with the show, in studio, as always, working the cameras, chat, all that good stuff. Scotty Thompson, what's up, Scotty?
Oh, man, was at Arlington this weekend, had a blast, did not disappoint, and just glad to be here to talk about it.
Also in studio, TJ Smith.
I was not, but I got to see it from the house. Somebody here had to stay home and watch it and experience.
Somebody has to hate Supercross.
It has to experience it, and I did. The TV package did not disappoint.
I rewatched it today. Wasn't too bad.
I mean, go ahead.
The TV package is good. That's for sure. It's
really
a lot
good.
Better being there in person, in my opinion. But that's a topic we're going to talk about at some point in the show. We're about to kick off the Racetech Open discussion. And Racetech is the world's largest aftermarket motorcycle suspension modification company with over 35 years of experience providing factory-level suspension to the everyday rider. They don't only provide factory-level suspension. They also are known for building a reliable, world-class engine, which requires a combination of state-of-the-art equipment and experienced, knowledgeable technicians. Racetech provides quality precision engine services using the best equipment and processes in the industry. Thanks to Racetech. Go to racetech.com, find your local service center, get your suspension serviced or upgraded if you need to change your springs or your valving. Racetech and your local service tech can help you out. Racetech, TJ?
I mean, it doesn't
you
get
said
any
the last
better.
couple of weeks, but yeah, you've done a set yourself recently.
The gold valves,
Yep.
I mean, I still am blown away by the amount of support and instructions in that stuff. Like,
Just got to read them.
You just got to follow them.
Pay attention.
But yeah, it's Racetech's awesome, and not only, like I said, I was able to talk to some people up there, and they actually guided me in the right direction for my specific setup, which is different than anything. Like they don't have any, like 2003 Honda 450 electric bike stuff, but I gave them some information.
And nobody does.
They gave them some information, and they hooked it up, and man, it's really good.
Your bike is definitely a reflection of you. It is one of a kind.
I don't know if I appreciate that, but I'm going to take that as a compliment.
Yeah. Just take it however you want. Okay, Arlington Supercross Triple Crown number 2 of the 2025 season has come and gone. Cooper Webb gets it done. Not sure that there's a little bit of luck involved, maybe a lot of luck involved, and Cooper admitted that. Chase Sexton was the fastest guy in the night, and I want to get into all that, but just overall, being there, Scotty, and watching TJ on TV, again, I always like to ask this, how do you feel about this Triple Crown format? Because I didn't love it in the beginning, in the early years. I'm starting to get more and more excited about it. I really like the format a lot.
It's, to me, what I always go back to is it's hard not to beat where every race counts.
Yeah,
and it's
that's
just
a good point.
Like when you're hyped up from the opening ceremonies. They just did a lap, couldn't see the track because of all the smoke, but we're going to talk about that later. But when you're hyped up and then it starts racing, the first gate drop, and its points are on the line. And I just think that's so hard to beat. Like, that's why I like it so much.
Yeah.
And it was, it kept going. Like, It didn't have like a lot of breaks. It didn't seem like, and it's just, I don't know. I as a fan, I understand the riders. It's a lot more risk and stuff, but as a fan, I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, Triple Crowns did not disappoint once again, and they're just like you said. I didn't think of it why I thought it was so important, but what he said, or so interesting, but what he said was every race counts, and so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. And I like the fact that, Webb got, I think, 6th in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a bad night. He came back and won the next 2 and won the overall. So you can have a bad race and kind of make up for it. I like that little wrench being thrown into the system or whatever.
Sure.
It's just, and I don't want every race that way. I don't think I would like it near as much if it was every round. But when we have them, I'm very excited about it. But yeah, now with the outcome of 450 points, Cooper Webb 146, Chase Sexton 5 down.
I'm sorry.
Probably should have been up at the end of the night. But yeah, I'm going to use the word mistakes cost him the points lead, cost him the overall win. A few people don't really like the term mistakes for what happened, but I asked this question last week. Can Cooper Webb, can the mental thing that we say he did a couple years ago with Ken Roczen, will that work on Chase Sexton? Both of you guys said no. You both told me no.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel the same way after this weekend?
I do not think that Cooper Webb or any other rider, except for him actually almost running into a lapper and then into Cooper Webb or whatever, except for physically, I don't think they had anything to do with it. I think Chase Sexton was just feeling good. It was riding. He caught him real quick. He's just moving. He didn't speed up or slow down. He was just running his pace and caught up to him. It wasn't like I see him there and he dropped the hammer, if that makes sense.
No, you're right.
And so I think it was just a racing mistake, and I don't think the upsetness
Which
was...
one?
I guess the main one I'm talking about where
you can't even really give him a hard time for stalling because Coop did it too.
Yeah, I'm talking about the final wreck that basically cost him.
But he did that twice. He ran in the back of Justin Cooper in race 2, then he ran in the back of Cooper Webb in race 3.
He's just coming up on guys quick.
Okay.
And like I said, I just think that they were just racing incidences, and I think the upsetness was not like
upsetness?
His upsetness. But, I
Here
mean,
we go.
Yeah, we'll move on.
Boy, he's so pretentious, isn't he?
You can say pretentious, but then you can say upsetness.
Well,
continue your point. I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you. See, you're right. You were right earlier when you said that he just messaged.
I don't know what you're talking about. I would never say that about the
never talk
star
about
of the show.
Okay, here, listen. Chase is riding amazing.
Mm-hmm.
He's so fast. It's incredible to watch him ride. You know, like Kiefer said, Giselle Bundchen.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's beautiful to watch. But when things like that happen, he's frustrated. I'm frustrated. You know, I'm curious. Like, why are you making these little mistakes instead of maybe being a little more patient? And I'm being long-winded here. But he did not have to beat Cooper in the last race. That's where my issue is, where I'm questioning the mental, just getting your opinion. I'm not saying he's affected by Cooper, but he wanted to beat Cooper so bad. And in my mind, is that him saying, I want to prove to myself.
You think that's what it was?
I don't know.
That's what
I think it could be.
I thought it was just like going to send a message.
Okay.
I don't think
why?
any of that.
For what? What's the purpose of sending the message when you had the win and would have taken the points?
I agree. Is
that not a mental thing where he's going, I have to send this message. I have to. No. Okay.
So watching the race, I was there live. So we're not, we don't have the announcers kind of like
in your ear.
Well, breaking stuff down. Yeah. And so when Chase stalled and then they got around him, I was like, I looked back up and the points had changed and it showed that Chase still had the win. I was like, oh, well, this race is kind of over. And then like he started, I was like, why would he try to catch Coop? He doesn't have to do it. And then he started, I think like TJ said, naturally catching him. And then once he caught him, it was like, I guess he's going to go for it. And then I don't know what all takes everybody has about how the wreck happened, whether it was the lapper or he hit Coop or he was falling already, whichever one you want to choose. Like getting himself in that situation, I was like, what are you doing? Like, what happened? What are you doing? Why would you do that? Like you had the win. Like, you have to know that you have the win.
So, I'm sorry, you done?
Yeah, I'm done.
So even your point, he was going quite a bit faster than Cooper. He was naturally catching him. Mm-hmm. But I would say a rider at that level with the knowledge of racecraft would say, okay, jumping this rhythm section with that lapper and Cooper right there, maybe this is not the best. Maybe I need to wait another turn or two. Obviously, these things happen quickly in the heat of the moment. Maybe he didn't realize where that lapper was going to be, but it might not have been the best place to try to. And he wasn't even trying to make a pass. It was just, Again, I'm kind of rambling here, I know, but I do think there's a possibility. There's some mental stuff there where he's heard everybody talking 2 years ago. He kept tucking the front. Last year, he wasn't very happy with the bike, so he's probably a little stressed. Personally about how things have gone and I need to do this. So
y'all sound like y'all just, if y'all were in his shoes, you're saying that y'all would just, I'm just going to, you know what? There he is. I'm right here. I got the win. I'm just going to follow him to the end.
I can't say for sure.
I'm just saying, like, and that to me is the reason why you're sitting here doing a podcast and not, out there racing at the top of the level, because I don't think it never crossed his mind to check up. He's like, I caught him, no problem. I can follow him until I get around him, and then that situation happened. It had nothing, in my opinion. And then I don't think that his upsetness was anything to do with Cooper. It was just like, God, I made that mistake. I can't believe I made that mistake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
okay. That's mental though, right? If that gets in your head. And last week, I think it was last week when he hit the gate, those things, and he's talked about 2 years ago, everybody saying these things kept happening when he was out there all by himself.
Yeah,
those things as a human. Most people do kind of put those things away in a locker, but then you go, oh shit, like it's in the back of his mind maybe. And maybe it's not.
Yeah,
I mean, look, he's riding incredible. I'm not taking anything away from how great he's riding and how good this title chase is going to be. But I still question.
Has anything ever changed him? Like, has he ever changed?
Not really, no.
So I don't think this is going to change him. I think he was just mad in the moment, and then he comes back next week and is the exact same Chase that we've always seen.
If you're watching on YouTube right now, like and subscribe, please. MotoXpod on Vital MX. I mean, I hope. And again, I'm not trying to say he is or he isn't. It's just curious because, yes, we don't race at that level. We race at a totally different level, so we can't really compare. But yeah, I feel like if I knew I had the win and the points lead, that I'm not going to take an extra risk. I'm going to back it down personally. Can't really relate that to what these guys are doing. I understand that, but it seems like the smarter decision, Scotty, would have been to settle in, man.
So what, to TJ's point, Chase is an alpha, and he has that mindset of like him and Tomac and RV and RC all had that thing that's like, I'm the guy to win. I have to win. I am the man.
Yep.
I have to win. The thing, and like, that's great. And I love that Chase has that. And I think that that's going to ultimately put him back into this championship. Mm-hmm. The fact that he has that mentality. But in that one scenario, I would have liked to have seen him just like, you were the win. Like, you had it. Like, I'd like to see him just let Coop's mistake in the first race compound.
Yeah. And
it would have done that if he had just kind of I don't know if to say back off is a hard thing to tell those guys to do, but just I would have liked to have seen the decision making, whatever happened in that corner, just be a little more spot on.
And like he was closing super fast. When I say that lap, knowing the lapper was there, it happened so fast for him. He closed so quick. He was already committed to the rhythm, so maybe you can't back off.
Well, that happened to you this week riding when
I didn't hit him.
But Bill came in and it caught you off guard. You caught him so much faster than you realized and almost caused an incident.
Well, that is true, but
I think the same thing happened to Chase.
Fair. Again, I'm not bashing Chase by any means. I'm not. I'm just asking questions. And
no, I don't think.
So are you saying that it was 99% unavoidable?
I'm not gonna say it was unavoidable. There's a lot of ways to avoid it, but it's just what happened.
Yeah. I agree with you on that.
But then, the Justin Cooper one was super unnecessary. Like, he had Justin Cooper handled.
We were sitting right in front of that, and nobody had ever, that wasn't going to work.
He wanted to make the pass right then. That's just what, that was the decision he made, and it didn't work out. Had it worked out, it would have been amazing. It would have looked awesome. We'd be like, holy shit, did you see that?
Yeah.
But it just didn't work out. But, these things compound a little bit, and it's, I kind of hate it for him, because you saw his distress afterwards, and he's cooling down and trying to take it all in, and it's kind of a bummer.
I was going to ask you that. I was going to ask you what the vibe was like in the press conference. Coops kind of stole the win, like he does,
and he admitted it. He said it.
Yeah, and then Chase is obviously just pissed off, and Kenny's like, "Yeah, we got second." So, like, what was the vibe of that press
Chase
conference?
wanted out as soon as possible. He was
weird.
there long before anybody else, and he said, like, I just want to get out of here. And the first question, I think Anton asked the first question to him, and he's like, do you have a comment on this? He's like, no.
Yeah,
he started to open up afterwards, but he didn't want to be there. He was not happy, and with all rights. Right?
Webb didn't look happy to be there either. I was going to say that too.
I don't know. Webb seemed fine to me.
No, it's like he sits there stoically the whole time. Like I
think Webb is doing the RV rubbing hands together right now, man.
Right, in his head then, but I'm saying his face, he was sitting there like...
Dude, he laughed when he got done with the track.
Yeah,
he was like
fine.
giggling.
No, I'm talking about during the press conference. He always
none
does
of them
that.
want to be in the press conference. That's for sure.
No, I just mean, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to say this week. I'm saying Webb always looks that way in the press conference.
Okay, I got you.
But when it's his turn to answer, he livens up.
Yeah.
Okay, so... Yeah, racetech.com. I'm trying to think. I do want to do the vital recap. I got to talk about St. Jude's. We got Eli coming up in a few minutes. Real quick, just the track. A couple things. You were there on TV. It was pretty pronounced. Also, I don't think that's the right word, but the sand section when we got there on press day, and then we first got into the press box, I was like, "That's a lame sand section. It's just a little straightaway. Ooh, little turn. Whoop-de-doo." That thing was gnarly, man. Yeah. It was so much deeper than I thought it was, and they were entering with so much speed. Dudes were just crashing all day, all night.
Yeah.
Again, I'm going back. Dirtworks has crushed it on the tracks this year
I'm
for the
with
most
you.
part.
Yeah.
The sand sections have all been pretty damn good and been a factor. And that's what we want.
Has anybody said... I'm sorry, I didn't mean to butt over you, but has anybody said why the 9 whoops are working this year and didn't last year? Like as far as like they're not like last year
because they're making them more gnarly.
I said last year it was
working.
Like last year it was pretty much triple, and then this year there's a lot more blitzing. There's a lot more like what's changed this year to make the whoops better?
Made them to where it's better to blitz them.
Just
the way they're building them. Do we
maybe
know?
The way they're building? I mean, we'd have to ask. But, the way they're building them. Maybe the condition of the dirt at the time of year.
I was just asking media who was there.
I mean, I haven't specifically asked that question. I felt like the whoops this year actually broke down. Or this weekend broke down really bad. They were nasty.
But the guys were still blitzing them.
Yeah, a couple were. Not many, but a couple. You're right.
Yeah, but last year they pretty much everybody was jumping, and I was just curious if there was like anybody talked about that, or am I just the most observant
Steve
person?
did have on a couple of guys. One of the guys from Dirtworks. I'm blanking on his name right now. A couple weeks ago, and I feel like they talked about that a little bit.
Oh, okay.
But I haven't specifically talked to him. But again, just a good. I thought the track was pretty good.
Yeah, when I first got there to watch the first round of qualifying, and that we sat in the end zone, not where our seats were, and that little rhythm section after the sand, I was like, that thing's kind of goofy looking. Like it's kind of a goofy rhythm section, but it ended up it ended up being like one of the most pivotal parts of the racetrack. Like a lot of stuff, you can make big time there, and
Deegan almost landed on Joe Shimoda.
Yeah, that was crazy. And then also that inside sand rut, I saw a picture of it. It had like metal shavings from like their sprockets and stuff hitting it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was insane.
Wow.
Like a rub, like a silver rub to it.
Let's do a little bit of housekeeping or whatever you want to call it. St. Jude's race is coming up in Indianapolis in just a couple weeks. And so St. Jude's race in Indy, St. Jude's Children's Hospital, Research Hospital, Love Moto Stop Cancer is the slogan this year. Super Motocross has a long partnership with St. Jude's, and in 2024, they raised over $500,000. Together with St. Jude's, Supercross won't stop fighting until no child dies from cancer. We're putting on a call to action to our listeners. Okay, this is what we're doing. So you can text the word super. It's all in caps in the email I was sent. I don't know if that matters. Probably doesn't with your text, but can't text super to 785-833 you can make a donation, or you can visit supercrosslive.com/St-Jude/ You can find it all at supercrosslive.com. There's auctions. There is another way you can get involved. Ken Roxon Love Moto Stop Cancer Supercross Bike Giveaway. You can enter to win anytime throughout the season. Text Suzuki, that's all caps also, to 99126, or visit the Pipes Motor Group Suzuki truck at a local race, or you can visit propeller-.la. All this information can be found on supercrosslive.com, and you can look for the Ken Roxon Bike Sweepstakes. St. Jude's is leading the way in treatments and understanding of childhood cancer and other life-threatening diseases. Families never receive a bill for treatment, travel, food, etc. Treatments invented at St. Jude's have helped push survival rates from 20% to over 80% in the last 50 years. There's also, Scotty, you like this? A lot of our listeners. There is a VIP golf tournament experience that's going to be in Salt Lake City on Thursday, March 8th before the final round. You could bid on that.
You gonna bid on that?
There's going to be some other.
Fly me to Salt Lake?
They will fly you.
Oh,
if
what?
you win.
Okay, then yeah, heck yeah.
But there's also, I think, you can bid on the experience, and there's a lot of pro racers will be there. There's a lot of cool stuff involved with that. And then over the next few weeks, they're going to announce some other things with this VIP golf tournament. I think some other ways to get involved. So lots of cool stuff. After the race at Indy, all the gear, riders' gear, and the plastic from the bikes from Indy will be available on the auction. So guys, get involved, get some cool swag, get a T-shirt, and donate to St. Jude's. Yep. It's very pivotal. There's a great partnership, as I said, with Supercross, and of course, curing children's cancer. Pretty big deal, right? It's pretty important. It's one of those.
St. Jude's has always been
St. Jude's is
really good partner.
Yeah. So, shout out to Supercross and St. Jude's. I also want to give a shout out, if you guys listen to Pulp or Swap, you guys probably heard Chase Curtis, a photographer, works for Swap Moto Live, got hit by Henry Miller's bike, broke his leg, really nasty break.
Was there video of it?
It's
a Swap.
I think it might be on Swap's. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's on on Swap's Instagram.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's got a long road to recovery. You can go to VitalMX on the homepage. There is a link for his GoFundMe. Some people were talking and saying, doesn't he have insurance? Doesn't Feld or whatever? I don't think Feld covers that. I'm not sure. He may have health insurance, but they're not going to cover, like, his family came in. He's going to be there for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So, man.
Did you hear his interview that they talked about? He had to pay like $3,000 out of pocket.
Up front. Oh, really?
Yeah, and same thing, like
deductible.
Well, and like my son this week had a surgery, and it was $2,600. It was like $2,200 if you pay it now, or if you pay it out, it's $32. Yeah. You know what I mean? So.
Well, Chase is a really good dude. I see him at a lot of events. He's super friendly, super nice, and he's just moto family, right? So if you guys can give $5, $10, whatever. Just go to vitalmx.com. There's a link on the homepage. There's a little, like, a story up on it, a feature. So click on it. And, I'm sure if you went to Swap Moto Live, there's access there too. So,
yeah.
Okay. Pro X Vital Fantasy Recap. You guys want to do that? Do you guys have your points? Did you look them up?
Yeah, I got like 82 points.
Well, let me do the read first, man.
Sorry.
Pro X is rooted in racing from motocross to off-road and supporting teams such as Ampro Yamaha, Pro Circuit Kawasaki, and SLR Honda. They've been supplying quality components for almost 50 years, from complex jobs like an engine rebuild to simple maintenance, including filters, chains, and sprockets. Pro X aims to bridge the gap between OE quality and affordability. Find Pro X at your local dealer or visit pro-x.com and search for parts for your bike today. Tomorrow morning, I've got to put a Pro X chain and front and rear sprocket on my 350 before the Loretta's qualify. Well, actually, I'm going to ride tomorrow, and then we got Chase is coming over to shoot some stuff that I'm doing a tested on. Go ahead. Then I'm going to race Sunday at Swan at the local area. Go ahead.
Can I make fun of Lewis a little bit?
You can.
On one of the best podcasts out there.
Okay.
On the MXGP.
Yep.
I haven't
got to listen yet.
Preseason show. I don't know remember what they called it, but
preview.
The preview.
Yep.
He was talking that one of their sponsors is Pro X.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't understand why the Americans call it Pro X. There's no hyphen there. It's Prox. And then he reads the the website as PRO-X.
Yep.
And it's just funny to me.
Probably has to, right?
So in Europe, they say Prox.
But what I'm saying is, he's like, I don't understand why they say that. There's no hyphen, but the website has a hyphen in it.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I've had that, because when we started this, Michael Lindsay wanted me to say Prox because that's how it's said over there. But then the rep here in America said, no, we say Pro X here.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, so we're going to go Pro X. So that's that.
It was just funny that he was talking about how we are wrong, but the fact that it does have a hyphen in their email or their website. So,
Okay, so Vital Fantasy Recap. VitalMX.com. If you guys want to sign up for our fantasy game, you can join the MotoXpod League. King McGrath is still winning in the overall. Luxon MX won in Arlington with 145 points. This is the MotoXpod League. I got 129 points and ended up 58th in the MotoXpod Show League. We discussed last week, like, number of riders and how the guys have been, how many average picks riders you need for the guys that have been winning, and it was like 10. I got 9 this week, I think, and this is the best score I've had.
Yeah, he was.
So maybe
we talked about that.
Yeah.
We went over it. We had a plan.
I still did okay.
But he only picked top guys, and you got how many points?
109.
And you got how many points?
129.
It's a big. I'm telling you, that's the secret, guys.
Yeah.
Next week, I'm going to pick 20 riders, and
because I had
whole back of the pack.
I had the whole 450 podium. I had Chase, Kenny, and Cooper, and then Cole Davies going down in that one race didn't do me any favors.
But it's based off the overall.
Yeah, but I mean, he got
seventh.
Seventh.
Oh, okay. I thought he was up farther than that. I thought he was 5th.
When's the next Triple Crown?
I'd have to look at the schedule. It's
the next Triple Crown.
It's the East race.
I'm whoever makes the main. I'm just gonna pick all the slowest guys from the bottom of the list.
Yeah, but
you get single digits. Then
they only get a couple. That's what I don't understand.
Yeah, but you're gonna get
you got to get those mid pack guys that are getting 15 points.
Well, I'm gonna try it next time. We're gonna.
I guess that's what it is. Yeah, because I mean, I literally picked the 450 podium. I mean, I didn't do so good in the 250s.
That's the problem. Like, then the other guys don't do good, so your points. You need a higher average.
Yeah.
Instead of a higher top end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, we got about 4 minutes before we get Eli on. So, what was your score?
86 points. I don't want to talk about it.
He's over here trying to give me pointers.
Yeah, no shit. Shut up, Eli.
Whoa.
Shut up, TJ.
If you've got to do that, get that out of the way now. That's not in about 5 minutes.
Okay, so a few more minutes before we get Eli on. How about Cody Schock's first podium in Arlington?
Right. I mean,
I think you said, Scotty, that not a big surprise to you.
That was me.
No, that was
it was you, TJ.
So he's been riding good.
He has been riding very well.
I'm not if he would have won, I think I'd have been really surprised, especially the way Deegan was riding. But wow, he's come a long way, and it's weird to see. I mean, how long's Cody been pro now?
I'd have to go back and look.
I mean, at least 5 years, right?
Yeah.
And so, to build up to this, where you're racing anyways, it's just awesome.
Yeah, stoked for Club MX and Cody Schock. They signed him last year to a 3-year deal. Kind of revitalized his career a little bit. Saved him a little bit, and he's putting in the work.
And then he'll be on the 450 class next year next week on his 250
in Daytona. Yeah.
It was kind of funny because it was the military appreciation weekend.
Yeah.
And the graphics and stuff were different. Because of that, it was kind of difficult to figure out who was who at some point. Like I was like,
I was looking for Joe Shimoda for the whole.
Yeah, he was on that black bike. Yeah, and then I was like, well, who was on a white bike leading the race? Like, who is that? Like,
it's
Cody.
On that Stark bar.
Yeah, I was like, it's Cody. Okay, got it.
Yeah. It was a little odd, but good for him, man. It's cool. Look, Jordan. The other guy I want to point out, Jordan Smith. Hoping for a speedy recovery. Punctured lung, broken ribs. I think something tear in his spleen, if I'm not mistaken.
But
look, if Jordan doesn't go down. Right, and Davies doesn't crash a couple times. Maybe Cody doesn't get that podium, but ifs and buts were candy and nuts is the saying, right? I mean, Cody was consistent and rode really well. Led a little bit. Like, hell yeah, good for Cody, man.
Yep.
I hope he can build on that, and I'm looking forward to seeing him next weekend in Daytona on the 250 in the 450 class. Go ahead.
Would you say that he has reached his ceiling that was always there for him? Would you say that race was like good job, Cody? That's your
that's the best you can do.
Not that that's the best you can do, but that's where you're at. Like that's
he still needs a little more speed. Like that, I think that was.
So that you said that was his ceiling. I think he was
a little above his ceiling.
Oh, it was above his ceiling.
A little bit.
Okay.
Not. I mean, the result was, but I think that's because guys were hurt, right? Which that's part of the sport.
Yeah, I mean he was there.
But he needs a little more speed, and he said that. Like he needs a little bit more. There's just a little bit more, but he's building, and he's getting there. So I don't know what the top ceiling is. Like, can he consistently get to be a podium threat? I don't know. I hope so.
I think
that'd be cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know yet. I'm not really honestly ready to say that.
I think the big test for him will be a showdown.
Yeah. So we're real. I'm going to go ahead and try to call Eli right now.
Yeah. So I was really surprised to hear he's going to ride the 250 next week.
Yeah. And then we have the news up about Julian Beaumer. I was wondering what was happening to him, but I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, we'll get back to that. Our first guest of the night's on the line. He's going to be brought to you tonight by Yamaha Motor USA, who has a reputation for dominance. They proved that at Arlington this weekend, taking the top spot in the 450 class and sweeping the 250 West podium. The YZ story is over 50 years of iconic machines and groundbreaking innovations. Visit YamahaMotorsports.com, or better yet, go to your local dealership and check out everything Yamaha has to offer. Tonight, Yamaha Motor USA brings us from the Monster Energy Yamaha Star Racing team, Eli Tomac. What's going on, Eli?
Hey there. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for doing it, man. We really appreciate it. I honestly was a little surprised you were up to it with, being off injured, and I didn't know that, I wasn't sure you'd want to talk about motocross right now.
Well, yeah, it's a frustrating deal, but the good thing is it's something I can come back to relatively quick. So, these last injuries have been tough. Like my thumb was a tough deal, and my Achilles was obviously a really tough one to come back from. But this one, if all goes to normal, I should be released around 6 weeks, and then, of course, I'll just try to figure out and feel on how my conditioning is. But it's a time frame that you can kind of look forward to and not be like, man, I'm out like for a long time. So, good thing it's just the bone, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a very different mentality than when the Achilles went last, 2 years ago. And, so you can see the light at the end of the tunnel a lot sooner, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's, it was crushing when it happened, but at least this one, there's some sort of light at the end of the tunnel. Hopefully I catch the last couple Supercross. That's my goal, is to catch those. It was such a bummer because I was feeling so good on the motorcycle, for those few rounds there.
And I want to get into some of your riding this year, but first let's continue on that path. So hopefully coming back before the end of Supercross. So you definitely want to do nationals. You'll be ready for nationals. What's the reason to come back before Supercross is over instead of just getting ready for outdoors? Is it just gate drops, or because you just want to be back?
It's a combination of all that. And I feel like when I get gate drops in, it just sharpens my game no matter what. You can only practice so much at home. And I feel like, racing is good for me, doing, say, overseas races before the season. I think that really brought me in quite sharp and keeps things refreshing. So I'm not afraid of, I guess, racing, one discipline, Supercross before moto. Yeah. Yeah,
that makes sense. And I would assume, I think you kind of hinted at this in the past, when you're out with the Achilles, you're out with the injury, especially with the Achilles, you really got the drive back. Like you realize, man, I missed this. I don't want to give it up. And I assume that's still the case. You found like a more passion for the sport, I feel like, in the last 12 months.
Yes. Yeah. And that's the way it was. It's just so unfortunate the way I was having so much fun on my motorcycle, because things were coming somewhat easy. I mean, I was starting a little bit behind here and there, but overall, the motorcycle was in a great spot. And, it's just tough. It's just tough. Yep.
I know it is. And we see that, in your reaction and, and all that. But listen, the riding you were doing in 2025 was a little bit mind-blowing. Like, I used the mind-blowing emoji in group text about your riding multiple times. I really feel you should have won A1. San Diego was unreal. Your second race at Glendale, though, race 2. Look, I talked about this with the guys in studio with me and some friends. Even that night when you were coming, I don't remember how far back you were. I was like, I think Eli might win this thing. You passed.
Last. Yeah.
Yeah, you passed 3 or 4 guys, I think, when you were tripling out of that long rhythm section heading into the sand. Like, I think you passed like Malcolm. I can't remember who everybody you passed. Like 3 or 4 guys in 100 feet. I was like, Eli's a madman. Like, there is no doubt you were maybe the best you've ever been this year.
Yep. And it honestly, my actual riding, you're right. It has been the best I've ever been outside of my start. So, it's been good, but unfortunately, I don't even know why this stuff happens, but it happened. Sticking the leg out, and it just ends like that. Just, would love to rewind the tape and keep my foot on the peg.
Yeah, it's very similar to the Achilles, right? It's like you're just riding normal and this weird just little thing. Yeah, freak thing happened. Listen, I'm going to tell you, I was struggling a little bit. I was torn because I really feel like you were the title favorite, and I wanted to see you get another title and what you said might be your last year. But then I was also like, oh, Kenny's doing so well. I want to see him get one. I was really struggling between the two of you. Yeah, I mean, you made it a little easier for me, but yeah, it was just incredible watching you two and then Cooper. Just, yeah, because, everybody's like, Jet's going to be the guy. But no, he wasn't the guy. Like, the guys were our group of riders we've had around for a while, and it was awesome.
Yep. And it's what a bummer for the
yeah, I know.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks.
Gosh, thing Supercross. Yep.
Yeah, Eli, I was at the race in Arlington this weekend, and it was, obviously it was an exciting race, but it wasn't the same without you there. And I would enjoyed seeing you get back to that speed. And when you had those couple races where beast mode was kind of back, did you feel that you were ever going to get back to that? And what was it like when you had those races like San Diego and those where you won? How did that feel to get back to there?
It feels like you can do whatever you want. Your body stays good the whole 20 minutes. And I knew I was going to be that fast from racing those overseas races, and WSX. I knew things were coming pretty easy. So it was just an exciting time. And I haven't really had that feeling on the motorcycle since 2022 for being that good and that easy and having that speed and, being able to maintain that pace for the 20 minutes. So it was, guess it was fun while it lasted, but hopefully I can get somewhat back there by the end of this Supercross. We'll see.
Yeah, I think you're fully capable. And I'm curious, coming into this season after the rebuild year last year, was there a little bit of a lack of confidence of wondering if you could still do it?
Yeah. And what I've said this a bunch, but what also happens is I was, pretty off balance, and it took me a while to come back from this Achilles. Of course, I did make some motorcycle changes, like my fork system and stuff, coming into this season, which improved the bike a lot. But it just, coming off of an Achilles injury, you don't get that last 10% until basically you're down the road of having full confidence in yourself. Your body gets balanced out, and you can only ask your body of so much. And I struggled, last year. Just straight up, I struggled, and I was not the place I was this year. Yep. Yeah.
So I want to ask you one more follow-up on that lack of self-confidence. You said a little bit, and you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but I wonder what that looks like when you're at home and you're sitting around with a wife, and are you saying, man, maybe I'm not ever going to get back there, and does it take away from you wanting to go train, or does it change anything at home?
Oh yeah. There's those times. Yep. And then here's the other problem is the media. It's like everyone beats it into your head that if you're over 30, that, everyone just asks you when you're going to retire. Yeah. So then that actually starts creeping into your head. But I'm trying to keep the father time at bay as long as I can right now.
Well, a lot of our top riders are doing that and still very successful. So I think we need to stop talking about the age thing in this sport.
I think so. And it's just, I think if you want to do it, you're motivated to do it, that, Supercross is technical enough and skillful enough that, we can obviously hang with the dudes that are in their mid-20s.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I guess my question is terrible now after you saying that, but I was thinking about, like, when you grew up around your dad, who was a great mountain bike racer, and I'm sure have you raced mountain bikes before?
I've done one mountain bike race in my life, and I hated it.
Well, there's your answer.
I did a over the hump race in California. It's like a shorter sprint race, and it was just misery, misery.
You know what? I feel like. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I would be a downhill guy over cross country. Nope, it's not for me.
I feel much better about myself that I can be on the same level as Eli. I did one cross-country race, and I did one of the 4 laps, and I'm like, where's the truck? I'm done with this. But my question would be, like you see, like, Martin, who is doing triathlons, and Alex, and you're starting to see those guys go into that other ex-pros that were at your level of, like, of training and stuff like that. Is that something that you would think about doing? Are we going to be like watching you do ultra marathons and stuff?
On that level, no. Like I said, if I was going to do something like that, I would be more of an enduro rider or something.
Okay.
I like that. That's way cooler.
Yeah. Yeah. I like riding my mountain bike, but like I said, I don't like doing the, that style of racing for extended time. Yep.
Cool.
So Eli, I have a Vital MX forum question from a dog lover. She's Faith. She's a big fan of the sport, and she goes along with that last question. What do you think you'll do after you retire? Do you think you'll stick around? Will you disappear for a little while? Have you even thought about it? I mean, hopefully that's not for years down the road at this point, but.
Well, right now I just, I have a pack of kids, and they occupy my time, pretty much anytime I'm not at the track or training. So, just raising the kids. We have 3 now, but for my day job, I don't know what that's going to be. I mean, we're so busy. I mean, we have cows, we have horses, we have pigs, so kind of just running around, our farm. And but for inside the supercross and motocross industry, I'm not sure what my future holds. But I do love racing, so it's you just don't know, I guess, until you actually get to that day. Yep. Yeah,
for sure. It's hopefully, again, it doesn't come for a while. And I guess that's another question I want to get to in a minute. But let's shift gears for just a minute. And just when you're training coming into these last couple of seasons, you spend most of the time, you do most of your training at home, but you do a little bit at the farm with the boys. Has it gotten more enjoyable to go ride with the other guys and where you can pick up on some of those things? And I know you kind of have your own program, but has it shifted more the other direction where you like riding with those guys and being there?
For me, everything's about balance. So, preseason, wicking up the pace, burning that candle. It's good. It's good to be there. But there's times where I feel like, riding by yourself is important for managing a season. So there's pluses and minuses, and there's more ways there's more than one way to do it.
Yeah,
so
sure.
Of course, I had fun. Riding with all the guys is great. You learn the race condition. Noah, buddy, I'm talking. And then
he's fine, Eli, man. We all got kids, man. He's fine.
So anyway, like the biggest benefit of riding in the group in the pack is you're getting race condition and learning your motorcycle going into that race season. I can't tell you how many times that I basically have blown Anaheim 1 because I made a setting on a smooth test track and wasn't in a rough, group practice environment racetrack. And that's where it's so beneficial, especially preseason, is being, in that group ride.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, we had Max Anstey on a couple of weeks ago, and he bragged on you. He said, man, one of the things that most impressed me about Eli is how he went out on a sight lap with full intensity. And he thought that was real impressive. I guess that's something you do intentionally, I would assume.
It is. And here's the deal. When you're in that environment, you don't want to get beat. So
Sure. Yeah.
It's, every day I was down there, it was just bringing the A game.
Well, yeah, I don't think you ever like to get beat. For the two guys in the studio, I know you didn't watch my question of the week on Vital a couple weeks ago, but I asked, my question for everybody was, what's your biggest accomplishment, not counting wins or titles? And Eli just laughed. He's like, nothing else matters. That's all. That's why I was like, okay, cool.
That's why Eli is one of the best.
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead,
but see,
Scotty.
then one of the Star Yamaha guys would be like, well, mine is I beat Eli one lap at the test track.
Right. Go ahead, Scotty.
Yeah. So Eli, my question is that, you and your dad have a very specific relationship that has been very successful, and it's kind of turned into part of your training program where he's a little bit of a coach. Now, you mentioned you having kids now. Do you see any type of, with your kids, to be that coach, father, son relationship, or are you trying to be more of just dad?
Right now I'm here's the deal is my kids are all under 5 years old, so it's so early, man.
Mm-hmm.
So, we've done some BMX racing. Like, actually, it's not even BMX. We're racing Striders. So it's all about the fun right now, and I don't know what path they're gonna take. It's too early for me to say. Yep.
Right.
Eli Tomac tonight, brought to you by Yamaha Motor USA. You go to Yamaha Motor USA's YouTube channel and check out their Beyond the Gate.
How do you have time to get as fast as you are with kids under 5 years old, a house full of kids under 5 years old? Like
he was already that fast.
Yeah.
I guess my kids are 4 years apart, so I never had more than one 5-year-old at a time,
Well, it's just well, that's the thing is I had my kids pretty late, if you want to call it that. So I had plenty of practice beforehand.
Yeah.
I was a teenager, so I guess it does change.
Yeah. Quickly, I'm going to go back to the age thing and just talk about training and recovery after 30. How much has that changed for you?
I would say volume has come down. Volume, it's just when you're in your young 20s and even late teens, you can go hard and not necessarily have lighter days, and you're fine. But as you do get older, the recovery just becomes more important straight up. And
yeah.
But with that being said, I feel like I've built this crazy huge base for riding a motorcycle that I don't have to. I'm better off taking it a little bit easier than digging myself into a hole.
That makes sense. Yeah, of course.
Yep.
You've learned that. Sure. Scott?
Yep.
Yeah, Eli, was spending time at the farm and the experience that you just touched on that you've learned, are you in any kind of way kind of showing those guys what's what and like helping them at all? Or you kind of still just keep to yourself?
To be straight up, I was somewhat by myself down there, and I would, of course I would do the program, ride with the group ride, but yeah, I don't really mentor anyone right now.
Okay. All right. Couple more things before we let you go. I have to assume, obviously nationals are very important. You'd love to get another title. That's big, but Motocross of Nations at Ironman has to be a number one, top 3 priority.
Oh yeah. And yeah. I would love to try to, bring another number 1 plate back and as a team. And, I've had so much fun the last few goes at Motocross the Nation. So it'll be a great event in Ironman. It's cool that we're going to a different track here in the US, and it's try to be one of those spots. You're in that spot,
Yeah, let me ask you this. Since at the end of last year at the Nationals, I said I think Ironman's my favorite track to watch. I think it's taken over Redbud and Millville. A couple of the riders I talked to agreed, some didn't. Where do you fall on Ironman over the last 2 years?
It is one of the better tracks.
Awesome.
So it's got to be top 3. It's top 3. Yep.
Yeah, they've done something special there. They really work hard for that. All right, here's the big one. As of now, maybe you don't want to say, are we back for 2026 Supercross?
I don't know that yet.
Okay.
So that's where I have to leave it.
Yep, that's fair.
And too early. Yep.
That's fair. All right, a couple more questions for you. If you had to pick, I'm just going to put you on the spot. You're not going to answer this. I like both these guys. I love them. Jelly or Kranz?
I can't. Oh, I can't make that choice. I can't make that. Nope. Not going to make that one.
Okay, perfect. I didn't expect you to. How do you feel about commenting on the Cooper Webb, Chase Sexton thing? I've been questioning the last couple of weeks the mental side, and maybe you don't want to get into this either, but Cooper has this way of kind of like rubbing his hands together a little bit, and I wonder if Cooper's in Chase's head a little bit. What do you think?
It's just it's one of those things where I don't know. I don't have much to comment on that either. It's just it's tough.
Yeah,
it's tough to beat experience. I'll say that it's tough to beat experience. Yep.
Okay. Last one for you. Safety precautions that Feld and Dirtworks have been making on the tracks, we're going to call them safety precautions, 9 whoops, no dragons backs. They apparently, after this weekend, I haven't even told these guys this, you may not know this, apparently no more jumps or obstacles before whoops at all. You're going to enter whoops with no double or anything anymore. What do you think about these changes? But then they have the wheel tap triple in the middle of the track that, to me, seem very dangerous.
Yeah, I think it's probably going a little too far, and I don't know. I mean, look how bad tough blocks are in general.
Mm-hmm.
Tough blocks are a disaster.
Yep.
So I wish we could mark the tracks differently that way, but of course you have to have some sort of boundary and marker. But I don't know. That's a bummer.
Yeah.
I lean the way where I want, if you're a higher skilled guy, I wish, that would pay off. But
yep.
I mean, that's where I wish riders had more representation to say no to changes like that.
Yeah, I mean, look at Jordan Smith this weekend, right? I mean, pretty bad injury in the whoops. There's only 9 whoops, no obstacle before it. Still happens. I don't think those things make that much difference. And as far as tough blocks, honestly, Steve Mathis has been champion that for years now. I think the ones a lot of times overseas in Europe or whatever are those collapsible ones. I don't know why we can't just do that. But you got one more, Scotty?
I was going to, since we're talking about tracks, we were talking earlier about how we've liked the technicality of them this year.
Oh, the track's been good this year.
And we just wanted to see if Eli thought the same.
Yeah, it's been great. Overall, they've been better than the year before. Of course, we haven't had rain every single weekend, making it a rut fest, and in my opinion, more one line that way. So, I like the West Coast swing. Dallas was a little more ready, but overall, the track builds have been nice. They were racing pretty well. It's my deal with the past couple of years is I thought they were overwatering, or where they were too concerned about having it loamy the whole time, and I was like, I feel like we were getting away from any hard pack or any dust at all. Of course, there's going to be people that are in favor of rudder condition, but I felt like we were losing touch with hard pack in general. I feel like when there's these big ruts everywhere, it's more one line, and there's less passing opportunities around the track.
Absolutely. Well, Eli, thank you so much for your time tonight. It means a lot to us. We really appreciate it, and heal up. And I hope you make it back as soon as possible.
Okay. All right. Thanks for having me on, guys.
All right, Eli. Thanks. See ya.
Okay.
Eli Tomac tonight, brought to you by Yamaha Motor USA.
I was about to say right there at the end, like, hey, Eli, we were on time. We had the right time this time.
Hopefully he's forgot about that.
I wasn't going to say that.
Bear with me while I got to text Nate Ramsey real quick. So go ahead.
I've said this earlier at the beginning of a couple of shows ago. Like, we were on track to have just the coolest freaking, like, what happened with Webb and Sexton was awesome. Like, it was very dramatic, and like I enjoyed it being there. But we were on pace to have the Jet Sexton Tomac show, and my God, I was looking so forward to
Webb.
it.
I can't believe you leave him out of that.
Well, he would have been there too. He would have been there too.
It's a 4-rider chance for I think it would have been.
He would have been there through consistency. I was talking about like the straight up just battles,
speed.
The speed of those guys I was so looking forward to it.
Yeah, but every year it starts out like,
boy, yeah.
And then things.
But this year was really on pace to see something special.
So good. It's still so freaking good.
I know. It is.
I mean, right now, like if Kenny, Chase, and Coop can stay healthy, we still have a really good title fight.
I brought up something while we were talking with them that like it's insane that we are fans of, and we all except for Scotty participate in the sport of motocross, where if you get an injury, you want a broken bone over anything else because bones heal.
Oh yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like,
I got you.
It's insane.
Why'd you throw your hands up?
Because I have no part of the motocross that I don't ride because my bike doesn't work right now.
Because you don't ride.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I was sorry. Jab. But anyways,
I actually missed that part of what he said. I just heard him say your name.
I wanted to. I didn't really know how to ask it, so I just stayed away from it. But I really wanted to see what Eli felt like. Like, did he know he was riding on a broken leg? And like, that's just gnarly.
No, I haven't listened to the one he did with Swap Moto Live, but I got some people told me about it, and I think he said no, he didn't find out until a couple days later.
That's so gnarly
because they X-rayed it there, and it didn't show anything.
Yeah.
But he's like, it's not. He said, I saw a clip of it, and a couple of days later, I guess he was still in so much pain. He's like, something's not right, and went back. So no, he did not know.
That's insane.
Yeah,
that is so insane.
All right. I knew he wouldn't answer the jelly crayons one. There's no answer. I was
Right. It was a funny question.
Just wanted to be funny. Hopefully, anyway. For those that are listening, and maybe don't know, Jelly's his current mechanic. Brian Kranz was his old mechanic. So long time mechanic, multiple championships with Brian. So anyway, but
Kranz just wanted to be home more.
Yeah, and then he got cancer, and he's actually back at the races here and there. But he's yep. But both just an incredible guy. So, all right, X-Brand Forum check-in. X-Brand is your choice for clear vision and a leader in motocross and off-road goggles. X-Brand is used by many of the top GNCC riders, including the 2023 XC1 champion Craig Long, National Hare and Hound champion Dalton Shirey, as well as Lyndon Snodgrass, Kyle Chisholm, Freddie Norn, Henry Miller, Michael Hicks, many others. Visit eksbrand.com or go to your local dealership, ask for X-Brand, distributed through WPS. And if you're an Alpine Stars guy, maybe you just order some Alpine Star goggles, just like Star Racing. Hayden Deegan this weekend winning. They're very, 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 very similar to an X-Brand Lucid.
Those goggles saw a lot of passes.
Yes, they did.
Jeez Louise, that guy was on rails.
X-Brand. Okay. X-Brand tear-offs this week. The wheel tap in Arlington is what I picked.
X-Brand tear-offs or X-Brand Forum check-in?
The X-Brand tear-offs check-in.
Okay.
No, X-Brand
Forums.
Forums.
Why did I write that? Sorry, Steve.
Yeah.
Don't sue me.
I shouldn't have said it. I'm sorry.
No, that
Yeah.
was great. That was
That's
great.
awesome. Yep. Wow.
Yeah.
All right, the X-Brand Forum check-in. This is from Black Diesel Bomber on the forum. I love the wheel tap obstacle in Arlington leading onto the straight. Let's see more of those, please. Guy behind. Yes, I liked watching the different styles. Love that. As I watched tonight, it occurred to me that's a textbook example of an obstacle can only truly be appreciated by those who ride or have ridden. Those are a few comments. So, one, I want to know if you guys like that obstacle, because I did think it was cool. But then I want to transition into what we were asked Eli about. But what did you guys think about that obstacle?
I was watching it and I was watching from that angle in daytime practice, and it was like, ooh, like watching them
times,
hit it. Yeah, because like they were hitting it so fast and it was so quick, and there was just so little part of their bike that was hitting it. And Coop did it one lap where it slid out on him, and he just recovered it like nothing. I was like, oh my god, dude, that is
so. Kenny was asked about that in the press conference because I don't remember who asked. Maybe Adam Insnaps. Anyway,
He went over it.
said he went all the way over, and Kenny was like, "Yeah." He said, "I was doing everything I could to touch it, just barely touch it." And a couple times I went all the way over. And I when I rewatched the race today, somebody else did it too, cleared it completely. But
wouldn't it have been better just to go all the way over it?
I mean, yeah, if you get the drive to, but I don't know.
I
Maybe
think
it wasn't.
I
don't think
saw
it
a
was
couple
consistent.
people do it.
Yeah, I don't think it was that easy.
I did see one guy.
Clearly.
I don't remember who it was, but I saw one guy hit it and it's sitting like that, and he did not. He made it, but he almost didn't.
There was a couple.
Yeah.
So, TJ?
So y'all were there seeing it during practice. Do you think that obstacle was designed to be a wheel tap? Or like what was?
I think they had to know. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was cool. I mean, but I just didn't know if it was like, if you go to the inside, you could, single, double out, and the outside they wanted you to triple over.
I think I think the track builders are pretty aware of what guys are going to do most of the time.
Those rhythm sections were so technical. I loved them. We were sitting right in front of them, and oh man, I just loved watching them go through that stuff every lap. It was amazing.
So I want to transition that X-Brand forum check-in into what I asked him about, the safety precautions. They made the quad out of the second rhythm section not really doable. No more obstacles before whoops. Like, where's the line drawn? Okay, enough's enough. Bring back Dragon's back. Leave. Stop. I don't like this anymore. It's going to be NFL where like, you can't hit the quarterback and like stop.
Yeah. I saw the video of and he wasn't even trying to do it, but where Coop got squirrely in that section and went over the berm and press day.
Yeah.
And then like I went straight to the comments, like, well, there goes that quad. And then sure enough, it was gone.
Thanks a lot, Cooper. You screwed me on my interview. I had an interview scheduled with Coop after that.
If that quad had been there, he wouldn't have, that situation chase probably wouldn't have happened. So he knew what he was doing.
Okay. But what do you think about them changing stuff on tracks?
Well, I brought it up. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, DJ.
I brought it up before the show where we were talking about like the 9 whoops. Like it seems like people are blitzing and jumping and stuff now. So they had to have figured out, okay, the 9 whoops, and then how do we make them better? This year, they're like saying, hey, we're not going to do this. Maybe they'll make it, maybe it'll get normal next year, if that makes sense.
You can go back to...
No, like they're not going back off of 9 whoops, but they figured out how to build the 9 whoops where you don't jump them all the time, where they can be blitzed, where it's just as fast or not, if not faster. Look at Mookie, like when he was blitzing through them.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? I mean,
I guess, but I just...
They also,
I
at one
feel
point
like if they change something, they've changed obstacles before that they felt like were exceptionally dangerous. Okay. But like no double before the whoop, so you don't... I guess so you don't gain a whole bunch of speed. Like
I think it's because people were making mistakes on the triple before the whoops, and they're afraid that it was causing crashes. But they remember they used to have telephone poles in the whoops. You know what I'm talking
Come
about?
a long ways.
And at some point in time they said, hey, no more telephone poles in the track, and no more water holes in the track. Remember they used to fill up a pit with mud.
Not in Supercross.
Yes, the original Supercross stuff back in the Mickey Thompson. The Mickey Thompson.
Mickey Thompson was Ultracross. That's different. That's that's not Supercross.
No, the Supercross at the beginning, they did crazy stuff like that, and they realized.
Okay,
hey,
I'm not going to argue because I don't know for sure, but I don't know if that was actual Supercross. But regardless, some changes are okay, but I think you got to find a line, and I don't like saying 9 whoops because it's safer. I don't know. Maybe I just don't feel like I agree. I don't like it. I don't think we should be changing. I guess I'm being the old guy. Get off my lawn.
I'm such a fan of what they've done with the technicality of the tracks this year that it is what it is. Like I know that they're making these rules and stuff, but they're doing a very good job. So I'm just gonna kind of let bygones be bygones.
I'm starting to wonder. I'm starting to feel like it's going too far though. The no obstacles before whoops is big for me.
But that's not.
I'm okay with no dragons backs, even though I just said a minute ago bring them back.
That's AMA. That's not the Dirtworks people, right?
No,
but why?
It's Phil.
Why do you care if there's an obstacle before? Why not having whoops out of a turn? What's wrong with that?
There's nothing necessarily wrong with it, but I don't want that every time. I want tracks to be different. Oh wow, this weekend there's a wall. Oh, this weekend there's a table. Oh, this weekend there's a pit full of dragons.
I don't really
alligators.
like the walls.
Huh?
I don't really like the walls.
I don't either. I'm just saying I don't want the tracks to. Oh, I know for sure when I get there, there's going to be nothing for the whoops.
So they should change the length of a Supercross triple every week. Like this
actually,
time,
yes.
Like this time it's 75 foot. This time it's 90.
I thought it was interesting that it was the finish line. Was the only stadium triple.
That's rare.
Yeah,
that was kind of cool.
I definitely feel like yes, change the length of the triple sometimes. Yes.
Okay.
If I go to Swan and then I go to Billadilla and the jumps aren't the same.
Yeah.
I have to figure that out.
That's not Supercross.
Okay. Yes, change them. These guys are good enough. I think they can figure out if you added 10 feet to a triple.
Oh, I mean, dude, adding 5 foot to a Supercross triple, or short or long,
or shorten it and make it shoot them to the sky.
Now, I've always said that. I think the jump should shoot guys way higher with shorter jumps. But
going back and watching like some old 90s, early 2000 racing, dude, they were jumping so high to so flat.
Yes.
Like it was insane. Like what?
Awesome.
Yeah.
93 was
better.
awesome.
It was better back then, right?
93 was awesome.
93.
I don't know.
I rewatched almost that whole season. That's why I said that a while back. So.
We just said this before you started crying. That
Me?
this is that we have had one of the best years.
Even
of racing.
Eli even said the tracks were good. So let's just go off of that.
The tracks have been good. I've said it all
but
year.
I think that
the racing's been good.
The credit to that goes to Dirtworks, not to Phil changing the rules. So I guess it's two different things that we're talking about here. I guess
they kind of work together.
Well, I mean, I guess Dirtworks is just doing the best that they can.
MotoXpodShow@gmail.com. Your thoughts on these track changes, positives, negatives. Maybe you have both. So, and also if you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. You guys ready to do the Evans Coolant emails?
Oh yeah.
Evans waterless coolant protects your engine because it always stays liquid. Steam inside the engine creates hot spots and detonation. But with Evans, the metal is always liquid cooled, used by HRC Honda, Factory Beta USA, and Pro Factory Yamaha, and many other teams. Regardless of sponsorships, Evans is in the bikes on the podium. Okay, we got a few emails. You ready? Remember last week we did, I think the forum question was the history or the significance of your racing number. So we got some responses on that. Alan Riddle said, my number is 131, which is my dad's birthday. And also it signifies God first, family second, and then myself. I don't totally understand that. Maybe there's 3 people in his family.
Yeah,
so
his
1, 3. Is that it? Okay.
Kid, yeah.
Okay. So that's
what now?
His number is 131.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna do this whole thing again.
No, not the whole thing. The last part. I was doing part of my work.
dad's birthday, and it also signifies God first, 1, right?
Uh-huh.
My family second, so I guess 3 people
in his family,
and then myself 1.
Okay.
So, okay.
Yeah. That's cool.
All right. Jason Kiefer. Darkside, what's up, dude? Big fan. Been listening for a good while. Now love the show. I'm a truck driver and I probably should have pre-read this. And I deliver gas and diesel. Your show and a few others help me get through my night. Okay, now for my rant. Okay, here we go. Fucking Scotty. I like the guy. He does have a few good points and a few good opinions, but at least one time a show, I find myself getting super irritated and actually yell at my phone in the truck saying, Scotty, shut the fuck up. He is always interrupting you and others. Dude, I think I interrupt the worst.
You do.
So unprofessional. He's a crybaby a lot of the time. He does cry.
Is this a real email?
Did you
Yeah, man. I don't think I can make all this up. Hopefully he gets to me too and TJ.
Did
Hey, let me
the
finish
fact
this
that his name Kiefer is
It's Jason Kiefer.
Yeah.
He needs to be more like Mark's Tits or Talon, focus more on keeping the show going and chime in way less. I disagree with that. This show's not like that.
That's right.
Yeah, that's not what this show's about, man. So I want everybody involved in the show. TJ is all right. Don't seem to be plugged in very well at the pro sense. That's true. Here we go. My favorite besides you is Chase. Love you. You're climbing to the media. Keep grinding, man. And my son's numbers are our birthdays. I can't see the bottom of it because there we go. Our son's birthdays, and I think they both look cool. Mine is 8/17, and my son's is 7/23.
Well, stay tuned. Chase should be in next week, I think. So, and I won't be. But
I feel like I interrupt way more than anybody else.
Oh,
so,
absolutely.
All right, Appalachian Basin or Basin. What do you think it would be? Basin? Probably Basin, right? Bass fishing in the Appalachian.
It's Appalachian Basin.
Oh, but it's spelled Bassin. Is that how you spell Basin?
You're gonna ask me a spelling question.
True. Okay, Appalachian Basin. Maybe I'm an idiot. I am an idiot. Okay, hey guys, hope you're doing well. This is Jeb. I was on the Rapid Show at Dark one time. Yeah, I remember that. I run the number 10 on my KX250 because growing up playing basketball, my older brother was number 10, and that number became a bond for us. I carried the number 10 throughout my high school career and college. It's a big deal for us. I even, similar to Dark, have a tattoo on my leg of big number 10 that says 10s for life. Love the show, guys. And if you need a dependable friend to come on the show, that would be sick. Thanks, Jeb, for the email. Got a couple more here. Shane Bagley, something for you to watch. I was in Detroit last weekend, so this obviously came in at the end of the last show. First close stadium of the year. They napalm the floor. Fireworks and burning SMX logo are cool, but they have a smoking machine on the finish line tower or manager's tower. They lay down the fog, and man, it hung in the air. Couldn't see open ceremonies. It hung and was pool hall smoky till the LCQs.
Yeah, he brought up that.
Yeah, so yes, it was that way in Arlington a little bit. I think the roof was open a little.
Yeah.
You could see it on TV.
Yeah, I rewatched today. And,
Yeah.
Apparently, the energy it takes to open that roof is very, very expensive.
oh yeah, it's very expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
To open the roof?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh.
The energy it takes to move the weight of those doors is
Yep.
apparently a lot.
Yeah, they don't want to open them much.
Oh, okay.
But you would think, I guess I kind of would think there'd be some kind of ventilation up there, but that's a lot of area.
I was told it was around $1 million. I don't know if I necessarily
shit.
believe it costs that much,
Yeah.
but apparently it's very, very expensive to do so.
To open the roof.
All the way up, and then close it all the way back,
Yeah.
because I think it's $1 million
Oh my God.
in energy.
That'd be
Yeah.
a good question to try to do some real journalism and call Cowboy Stadium and find out.
We're
But-
going to call Jerry?
No, just call the stadium. But what was I going to say? Oh, I don't have it in front of me, but I do remember Checkers from Race Tech made a post about the hot air and the cool air, and like
It makes it worse.
made it where that wouldn't vent the way the atmospheric pressure was or whatever.
Well,
So
and I'll also say that just kind of back to figuring it out, I think Mark's mom works for the stadium.
his stepdad.
Stepdad does.
Yep, that's true.
Works for
Mark
the
Poole.
stadium.
Okay, I have another one here from Doug Derby, and you had me a question for Eli. Sorry, dude, I did not see it ahead of time, but we didn't get to a lot of the listener questions for Eli. We just ran out of time on that. So sorry about that, but yeah, good stuff. Those are our emails. You guys got any thoughts?
That was rough.
Yeah, that was hard. That was brutal.
Are you going to cry? Because
No.
you said you're a crybaby? We make fun of you for crying, but you don't really cry.
Yeah, not
No.
really.
We just like making fun of you.
Yes.
Maybe that's why he feels that way. It's because we make fun of him.
He's also not part of like the best group message we have, like the best.
I just thought because it was funny because before the show we talked about how we've always talked about how we interrupt each other, but I felt like to be honest, I felt like I was the least guilty at all that, but I guess not.
If I'm going to be completely honest, Chase and I are the worst at interrupting.
Yeah.
For sure. Talking over, interrupting. We actually talked about that. Like I interrupt you to correct you.
You did it to me earlier.
Did I?
We're working on things, guys. We're here to better. We're trying to better the show.
I'm not trying to get any better. So this is who I am. Suck it.
Oh, that's not what you sounded like before the show.
Before we get Nate Ramsey on the phone, let's hit a couple. What did he say?
Nothing. Do your job.
Justin Hill, fastest freaking qualifier. Passed.
Okay. Yes.
Sexton passed.
Say less.
Like, riding well, dude. I'm so pumped on him. He talked about coming in studio. He couldn't really make that work out because
that'd be cool.
Yeah, he's like, I want to come in, but I was like, dude, I live 2.5 hours from my airport. He's like, I'll fly in early. Like that's a week early, dude.
Hey, tell him when he.
It was.
No, say you should have told him that we live right down the road from Madden because his brother and him love that place.
But it was last week. Would have been kind of the week, and my mom had this emergency surgery. My dad had COVID. I wasn't sure we were going to be able to do a show last week, and it was a lot. And I can't imagine he'd really come in a week early. But regardless, none of that matters. Justin's riding very well. He was on Pulp last night. I haven't had a chance to listen to it all, but
you need to listen.
Justin's having a hell of a year. He has refocused himself.
I'm about to say he's very upfront about that.
Yeah, and he's told me that. Like he was at the Metal Hall of Fame that I went to, and we just sort of sat and shot the shit. And he's very impressed. Now there's people out there like, maybe he should get a factory ride. He doesn't fill in. He doesn't want that.
Yeah,
he likes the looseness and the ability to kind of do his own thing.
He said that he obviously would be dumb not to listen to other offers, but he would love for things to work out where he stays where he's at. That's what he was saying.
I'm stoked for Justin. He's a good dude and one of those guys with tons of talent, and you kind of always wonder, well, did he put all the effort in to get the best out of himself that he could have?
And he even said he didn't. He was saying
so. That's great that he's admitting that. That's cool. Let's see here. Any other topics that you guys want to get to before we try to get? 450 Daytona winners. I think that's one of our pop-up questions. I don't know if we used it yet.
I did earlier when we were talking about
this weekend.
Tracks.
Daytona. None of the 450 classes ever won Daytona.
Yeah, it's kind of
so that's cool. And we'll get to our picks, but who do you feel like is the favorite? Who's the most likely to do well at Daytona? Okay, why? Kind of talk about why I get Nate on the phone.
Because of Chase's raw speed, and normally that type of riding pays off really well. Like look at how many times Tomac, and then the raw speed of Brayton, and then nothing. I don't get a response from y'all on that.
No, I'm listening. We got our next guest on though, so we'll get back to
ask him that question.
We can do that.
Yeah,
but we'll get back to who we think has the most likely chance of winning their very first 450 Daytona Supercross in a minute. Our next guest is going to be brought to you tonight by Guts Racing. Andy Gregg and the Guts Racing crew continue to provide the best seats and foam available. If you want the same seats used by Rockstar Husqvarna, Hep Suzuki, and many others, then you need Guts Racing. They have numerous color possibilities, Velcro and staple installation options, wing seats, and the best foam in the business with the Phantom Ultralight Seat Foam. Don't forget they have complete seats for the Tulare and Super 73 and covers for the Sur-Ron and Segway, and they strive to ship orders within 36 business hours. Visit GutsRacing.com and order today. Tonight, Guts Racing brings us the team manager for Rockstar Energy Husqvarna Factory Racing, Nathan Ramsey. What's up, Nate?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good, man. A pleasure to have you on here. 1999 125 Supercross West champion. Dude, hell of a career. And now you're, team manager. So I want to start with let's start with Malcolm Stewart. All right, that's where I want to go. You worked with him super, super early on in his career. I think 2012. And now, now 2025, and he wins his first 450 win. How staggering is his mental and maturity progression been?
Well, you're looking at 12, 13 years ago that I worked with him. And, he had the potential and the ability to get the job done early like that, as you all know, as he went on to win a 250 championship. He's, to be honest, like he is the same happy-go-lucky, really nice, just human being, but he has matured. He has grown up. He knows when to push, when not to push. He's very smart about how he's racing and when he's racing, and ultimately, is a guy that can make it through a season. Most of the time, everybody has their moments, obviously, but he is really kind of grown up and been impressive with his approach to racing. And we kept talking about the idea of just like, hey, you have what it takes. I know you can get the job done when the moment is right. Seize the opportunity, and I think everything sort of lined up there in Tampa, and he was able to really show what he's capable of. So it was pretty awesome.
It was awesome. And then another obviously awesome accomplishment that you've been a part of was RJ's championship last year. That has to just feel like, all these years of what you've been doing as team manager, and, you back in the day at J-Star, JDR, KTM, and just, you have to feel a massive a sense of accomplishment too for what you've done to help this team and just be a part of that championship. Amazing.
Well, I appreciate that. And, it's never just me,
Sure.
Like that's one of the things that I quickly learned when I kind of stepped into the role as manager at that JDR J-Star team. And I realized, my dealings as a rider with a manager or with the crew was very minimal, and knowing what it actually takes. And ultimately, like I said, I learned pretty quick, there's a whole lot more to it. And it's just, it's just so important to surround yourself with good people, good crew, good manufacturer to be teamed up with. And, ultimately, if you get everybody rowing the boat in the same direction, and you got everybody that's just positive attitudes, stay away from the negativity, because it's too easy in our sport, because there's too many ups and downs. And,
sure,
you just learn to kind of absorb the obstacles, just like when you're racing, and you get through it. And with the right people around, not only does it make my job way easier, but it also makes it that much sweeter when we all win together, because it's such a group effort. From the top to the bottom. And ultimately, it feels so good, because how much everyone's put in.
Absolutely. All right, let's go back in the time machine just a little bit. Okay. I mentioned 1999 125 Supercross West champion. I believe 15 total 125 Supercross wins, 1 Premier Class win, and then retirement comes in 2009. That can't be easy, right? It can't be easy for any professional athlete to step away. What factored into the decision to step away? And then I believe you went into coaching after that.
Yeah. I had at Seattle Supercross, I had a guy land on me, and kind of, it didn't break my arm, but it blew my arm open. So I wasn't able to go to the last, I believe it was 2 rounds of the season. The weekend before, I had gotten 4th place. And then it was just, I got a bad start. It was just an unfortunate little incident. And so I was kind of out for the final rounds of Supercross there in 2008. And kind of, I had built a really strong relationship with Larry Brooks. And, obviously I was on that San Manuel team.
Yep.
And kind of in my mind, I was like, okay, maybe I can go another year. I'd like to go another year, because I was, I'd be turning 35 going into that 2009 season. So, and I was planning like, hey, when I retire, I want to stay with this team. I want to be a part of this whole thing. And unfortunately, after that injury, things kind of went downhill. It didn't work out for me to be the second rider on that team.
Okay.
And I was sort of like, I waited around too long, thinking that was going to be where I was going to land. And again, I was thinking when I retire, I'd be a part of it. So I didn't want to let go of that, but kind of waited around too long. And by the time I realized, like, I was kind of caught with my pants down. So I kind of called around a little bit, or, just kind of put the feelers out there, and saw a few people, and none of it made sense. So I was like, I've squeezed 16 years out of racing, or I guess it was 15 at that time, and professional racing. And I'm like, what, I'm good. I'm okay to retire, and we'll call it here. It's just, I'm not going to, take just a ride just to be out there,
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's kind of what got me to that point. And then, I did. I went into I had already done like schools and coached people, and I'd done quite a bit of that along the way, just here and there. And I ended up started working with Blake Baggett, where I was doing both on the bike and off the bike training, and then picked up a couple more people like Michael Leave and Landon Courier and some people like that. But Baggett was kind of my main go at that point, and I was just working with him, so I was staying fit and doing a little bit of riding here and there. And then, Jeremy Albrecht, J-Bone, reached out to me from the JGR team, and they needed a fill-in guy. And so he basically convinced me. And I told him just the other day, I was like, what got me? Because I was like always the guy, like when I retire, when I'm done, I'm done. I'm not going to be a guy who keeps popping back up and then, wanting to squeeze more out of it. Because I felt like I was very fortunate and blessed to get what I got out of it, because I wasn't the most talented guy, so Jeremy called me and kind of like, hey, we need a guy, are you interested? And I was kind of like, I said, when I'm done, I'm done. And he was like, you know what, why don't you come out here to North Carolina, ride the bike and spend the week out here with us, and if you don't want to go to the race, because I literally needed to go out there and ride the bike for 2 or 3 days and then go to the race.
Yeah.
And I hadn't ridden in, I don't know how long. It's been months. So when he said that, it kind of took the pressure off. Like, hey, you can come here and ride. And if you don't feel right about going, then don't go. And of course, right away, I got excited and it was fun. So I'm like, all right, let's go. So
yeah.
It was actually really nice to be able to do that. I think, I want to say I did 9 Supercrosses. It was somewhere in that realm. And going into Vegas, for that year, for the final round, when it still ended in Vegas, it was nice to go like, this is going to be my last Supercross ever. So it kind of gave me a little closure that I didn't realize I needed. And, it was a great team. It was great to work with J-Bone and that whole crew. And it was a good way to kind of close that chapter. And I was totally fine with it at that point.
Oh, that's good to hear. Yeah. Awesome. TJ?
So just real quick, you touched on something that I was going to bring up anyways. Working with Blake Baggett, like, tell us about that and why it was the highlight of your career.
You need to know that TJ is a huge Blake Baggett fan.
Well, so am I. So anyway, yeah, it was kind of funny because James Coy came to me and said he was doing something in the amateur world. I can't quite remember what, but he knew I was kind of like, I was on the sidelines basically. And he was like, hey, I got this amateur kid that he's so good, but he just needs somebody. And I think you could help him. And I was like, what's his name? He told me Blake Baggett. I was like, I never heard of him. And I didn't pay, I look back and I wish I would have paid a lot more attention to amateur racing when I was pro, because I think it makes you appreciate where you're at in the pro things. You just get so wrapped up in the world revolves around professional racing, and there's definitely a lot that you can get out of going back and spend some time in amateur racing. Anyway, so he told me who it was, and I was like, okay, yeah, that'd be cool if you say he's good. And I kind of started checking in, and I knew he was pretty good. So I met up with him and his mom and his mechanic and went. It had been raining. We were supposed to do a riding day and it was raining, so they lived really close to Ritchie Canyon.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just kind of went to a track in the hills in Ritchie Canyon for the first day that I spent with him. And I mean, I was blown away. I was like, this kid he's got it. I was like, within the first probably 10 minutes, I'm like, oh my gosh, how did I not know about it?
Yeah.
And I was all in, and we had a really good time, working together, training together. And I ended up, I think I went to Loretta's with him that year. And then he did pretty good there, and then kind of missed out. He was kind of it was him and Dean Wilson for the PC ride, and Dean got the PC ride. So Blake ended up getting a pretty good deal with Suzuki. It was the Bobby Hewitt and those guys with the Suzuki team. And so I kind of went with him on that, and I was able to, be around and be part of his first win, Supercross win in Dallas.
Yep.
And it was a really good experience. Got close to the family. So, I've always been a big fan of his and pulled for him and felt a little piece of his, championship when, he won the motocross championship.
Yeah.
And stayed in contact with him, and I'll still talk to him to this day.
And the most important thing is how are you going to get him back on a bike as a fill-in rider for y'all if you need somebody?
Hey, trust me, I've tried.
Yeah.
I have, and it seemed like a brilliant idea, and he just he's very committed to his the steel business that the family owns.
Yeah.
And he's actually learned that, and he's really good at it, and he's probably smart enough now to know, like, hey, if I were to step away from this, it's going to pull me away from a bunch of commitments that I have with his
Right.
dad, clients, and I mean, for a last hurrah, I don't feel like he, feels he needs that. So
Yeah.
I've tried like 3 times, and
But you just need to get little Baggett on the Husky 50.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. That would be my next step for sure, because he's got to have that blood running through there. So he's probably going to be pretty good.
I agree.
Yeah, Nate, it was going back to this season in Supercross with Mookie's win and everything. It was so cool to see the excitement with you guys, and you had the belief in him to do it, and he kind of was. I feel like Mookie was one of those guys that was kind of due a win. And what I'm getting at is, do you feel that it's harder to get a win nowadays with the technology advancements and just the fact that there's so much more conditioning and stuff? Or do you feel like maybe it was harder back in your day when you had to beat guys like McGrath and RC and stuff?
Well, it's always tough when you start comparing eras, because everybody's good in their own rights, at the time, and the level. But I mean, I do think every sport, including ours, has advanced so much because people just really lock in at such an early age, and they put all their, eggs in that basket. And I think that it's continued to elevate our sport to where you have more guys that are pretty much unbelievable. Like, they're so good, like it was, 2 or 3 back in my day, and then you could get away with, just being a guy who outworked the next guy. So, but now everyone's working hard, and they're so good, and the equipment's so good. It's like, there's sometimes I'm watching these Supercross races, and I'm like watching all the way back to even, maybe 10th place or so. And I'm just like, these guys are really, really, really good.
Yeah.
You to stand at the top of that crowd, you have to have such an X factor and be like on another level, and especially then to put it together for a season and win a championship, So I think it has definitely gotten tougher, but I think, there's such good guys in each era, given the same equipment, or it's just hard to say, but like, given the same equipment, same opportunity, imagine putting all the best of the best together. That would be pretty amazing.
I agree. Nate Thrasher tonight, brought to you by Guts Racing. Listen, I would have to imagine your role as team manager, it makes it a lot easier that you were a professional racer. You understand the relationship that a team needs to have with the rider between them and the mechanic. Is a lot of what you deal with kind of that type of stuff, dealing with personalities and almost babysitting versus, I don't know if you have to order parts or, I don't know what all your roles are, but I would think that's the major part of your role is almost the babysitting.
Yeah, no, I do my best to kind of, the idea would be to, create a crew and a team there where you put the right people in the right places, where even though we intertwine and everybody supports everyone, we kind of all have our lanes that we stay in. And obviously, like you touched on, my lane is the relationship with the riders and, with Alden Baker and, just really just using the experience that I've had over the years and just trying to help them through the good and the bad, and help them avoid some of the things that I had to learn the hard way. It's I feel like I'm pretty well rounded, especially since I kind of went back to amateur racing and did, about 9 years in amateur racing. I got another taste of that, and then learned who's coming and who's good. And then there was times when I was like, oh, this amateur racer, this guy's going to make it. And then he would kind of flounder as a pro, and I'm trying to figure out why all that happened. So I've gotten a pretty good dose from all angles, at this point. And, I try to stay in my lane. I still help and coach the guys as much as they want to hear it. I'm kind of the type of guy that I'll give you as much as you want, but if I can, guy he's really not into it, or he's really not taking it in, then I back off, and then if they have coaches or trainers or guys, I kind of, I say what I need to say, but I also don't want to overload these guys, because it's so easy to spin an athlete out and they get lost pretty quick.
That's very true. So I was going to ask you then, following up that, do these guys know your history? I would assume Malcolm probably does, but does Casey Cochran know your history? And if you say, hey, maybe you should adjust your foot position to hit these whoops, he's like, what do you know?
I would say the younger ones, like a Casey, had to probably go back and look. And I don't know if it was him exactly, but I've had guys go, oh, I went back and watched some of your racing, like you really did race, and you really did win some stuff. And I was like, yeah, I wasn't like lying to you. But even minus all that, if they know or they don't know, everyone's always been very respectful and listened and take it in. And, again, my approach is, probably different than some, but same as others. And, I think that if you get that trust, and, there's a little bit of credibility, obviously, even if they don't know who I am or didn't watch me, they're too young, their dads maybe knew about me or whatever, so, if you can establish that with them, you can really talk your way through a lot of situations and figure out things. And, I think it's definitely one of my best assets. And I think one of the things I like to do the most is try to help a rider be better, with the details of being good on a motorcycle and building that foundation to where the ceiling goes up, and, we can go faster, ultimately safer and more efficiently.
I love that answer. Going back to your history, for those that don't know, factory Suzuki, Pro Circuit Kawasaki, Yamaha of Troy, factory Honda, KTM. You mentioned San Manuel, L&M Yamaha. But a big thing that you did through your history that people may not remember or realize is that you were very instrumental in the development of the first YZ250F, the first Honda CRF 450 and 250. The progression from two-stroke to four-stroke, you were a key factor in a lot of that. Are you surprised how far they've come? And can you see electric motorcycles doing something similar?
Ooh, yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
I think there's a long way to go with electric. I think it's a great concept, but there's just it's not as easy as it should be, or as most of us think,
right?
But kind of going to the four-stroke thing, it's funny because my agent through my career was Bob Moore, and he approached me about this Yamaha, the first 250 four-stroke, and he was saying, hey, look, the sport's going this way, like before you know it, it's all going to be four strokes, two-stroke will be phased out. And I was kind of like, what, really? And so I'm like, okay, I trusted him. And then, obviously we heard different things from more people and manufacturers. And I strategically made that choice based off of that, because I was older. I had started racing later, and most people didn't know I was as old as I was, but I was older, and I knew, like, hey, if I want to get some longevity out of my career, I need to make some smart moves to make myself more valuable beyond just what I do on the racetrack, or what my finishes are. Yeah. So I literally had to, once I had made that choice and wanted to go to the Yamaha of Troy deal for the four-stroke, I just sit with Mitch and Bones and explain why I was leaving. Yeah,
because you were on Pro Circuit at the time and had won a title there, and you were making that. That's a big decision to make, an unlikely decision for most guys, probably at Elite Pro Circuit.
Yeah. And I mean, my point to them was just, look, like I need to be on the forefront of this 4-stroke thing. And if this is the future, I feel like I'd be crazy not to take this opportunity to be one of the guys who knows them the best and the earliest and can kind of take this, to whatever it leads to. And I felt like it would extend my career, and they really couldn't say much, besides like, crap, we've never had a guy, win a championship and choose to leave.
Yeah.
But it worked, it sparked me, from the, the Yamaha 250 to, I did race the 450 for Yamaha some too on opposite coast. And then, that got me the Honda 450 deal. And then I got some injuries and got hurt on the Honda. So then I did the first 250 for Honda, because I never pointed out. So I was able to step back down into the lights class and race the 250 for Honda. And then that also earned me, the KTM deal. And then, kind of sparked extra linked into my career.
Sure.
And then at the very end, I was able to do Supercross only. So that I milked a few more years out of it.
Nice. Yeah. Very instrumental career that, I don't know if everybody realizes. Scotty or TJ, which one?
Yeah, I got. So you were talking about like you moved to that because you saw the writing on the wall. Me, like others have said, I believe the electric stuff is the next writing on the wall. What do you think? If that's not it, what next is going to be the big change for Moto and Supercross?
I don't know. I mean, it makes the most sense, like you're saying, with the electric stuff. Obviously, there's a lot of pros and cons behind that, and it's going to be such a process. I really like KTM's approach to it, where they started out with the smallest bike you can make. So they made the bike the size of a 50, and then, the idea would be to progress your way up. So I would say I that's probably where it's headed, but I don't know. It's going to take a long time, I think, to fully get it to that, because, right now it's just, there's too many factors that go into, racing an electric bike against a combustion engine and gas powered motorcycle. And there's too many things that factor in to make that a good option.
Yeah.
Until they have a lot of data on electric motorcycles, it's going to be hard to kind of, pair those against each other on the big platforms.
Sure.
You can do that on lower stuff, but and that may help give some data along the way. But it's a tough one. It's a tough one. And it's going to be a while. But beyond that, I mean, I just see the motorcycles, no matter what, they continue to evolve and get better. And then, like we said earlier, the athletes take everything more serious. So it's just going to keep getting more and more competitive.
Have you seen any of the technology from like road racing, like the active suspension and stuff like that, like trickling in anytime soon?
Yeah, I haven't, not so much in, motocross, supercross side of things.
Gotcha.
But also, like I mentioned earlier, staying in your lane.
Yeah.
I'm not the most technical guy when it comes to motorcycles. I mean, obviously I know the little bits and pieces that I need to know, but that's why I felt it's, for me, it was always great to have a good crew chief around and, good mechanics and good people to support that side. Cause that is not my specialty.
Understood.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Scott. No, you have one more?
Well, it's not, it's kind of a change of subject.
Go ahead.
Nate, I just happened to be watching old Supercrosses. I kind of do that when I'm doing chores and stuff around the house. And it was the one that you won in 2006, and I believe San Francisco, the mud race. And your face was so happy. It reminded me of like how the win at Tampa for Mookie was. Like, it was so exciting to see. I just wondered if you remembered that moment and what it's like to experience those joys of a win.
Oh, yeah, man. It was, that one was pretty cool because, in a mud race like that, it's either a bust for you or it can be good. And that one turned out really good for me, and it just kind of put me in a good position in the championship run. And, I was kind of, I was older, and it just kind of breathed some life into that part of my career. And so it was a special moment. And I was the type of guy, like, it's weird. I was sort of like a Ricky Bobby of mud race. I either was up front winning or
first
I
to
was
last.
there, So I had my moments, and people wanted to classify me as this mud rider, but it was really like, man, it really depended on the night and the situation if I was going to pull it off in the mud.
Speaking of, like, so what is like your most memorable win or your favorite? Is it your 450 win, or is it
250? He was on a 250.
I know, but he has one 450 win. I'm saying, like, overall, what was his favorite win?
I mean, obviously you always remember your first one, which I won Phoenix Supercross in 99 as my first one. And, I think, believe it or not, I think at that point I thought, well, I think I can be a pro racer and make a career out of this, So that one was really special. There was I guess both of the East West, when all you had was one for the year, and those were really, really cool. 'Cause then you feel like you've kind of beaten everyone, at that point, or at least everyone who was healthy. And then, obviously the 451 was pretty amazing. I that was a crazy race. And I remember, there were so many different leaders. And when I got in the lead, I came across the white flag, and I'm like, I can't believe I'm still leading this. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to throw this thing away or let anybody pass me on the white flag lap. There's no way this happening. So, I kind of locked it in, and then was pretty shocked to come over the finish line and then kind of pull up on the next jump. And I got, Ricky pulls up on one side and McGrath pulls up on the other side, and they're both just congratulating me. And I'm just like, in that moment, I'm like, this is pretty amazing. I got two of the best guys ever, and they seemed genuinely happy for me. And it was if you fast forward to Malcolm's win, that was another thing that I took in. It was like, nobody was really mad that he won, like the whole industry was happy for this kid or this young man. So it's like, it was that same feeling again, so that's probably ultimately my best memory. And then, standing on the podium between those two guys is pretty neat too.
Oh yeah. With that, what a memory.
That's the one to write home about, right?
Yeah.
All right. Two more for you. First one, do you ever get to ride anymore? Do you throw a leg over every once in a while, Kevin Windham style in tennis shoes, or show him how to blitz? Huh?
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
I did that a little bit back when I was doing mostly coaching. Every once in a while I'll be like, look, this is what I mean. Let me show you. And I always put my helmet on, but not always the rest of the gear. And it's sometimes you don't have to do it at really high speeds to show them how to do it right. But I ride once in a while, nowhere near as much as I want to. And every time I ride, I'm like, okay, I need to do this once a week or every other week. Just because it just really sparks something inside of you, but then time goes by, you get busy. I don't make the time to go riding, and I don't want to go to the track on my day off.
Sure.
So a lot of things factor in, and then, before I blink, it's been months since I've ridden, and then, you kind of feel like crap. But my son, he started working at KTM, and
nice.
he was never really into motorcycles that much. He rode a little bit here and there, and he never really learned to ride really good. And part of it is my fault, because I kind of pushed him towards like mainstream sports and want him to just experience everything and not just be wrapped up in one thing. And he started working at KTM, and he's like, hey, I want to buy a bike. You get in there and you can kind of start working for a little bit. He just gets engulfed in the culture of it, and he wanted to buy a bike. So he bought a bike, and then I went with him, and it probably been 2 years since I rode, and I had a great time. And so then later we went again. So I've ridden a couple of times here, somewhat recently, and I'd love to do it more often. It's hard to find the time to make the time. And I don't put a ton of effort into it, because I'm 50 years old now too. And my brain says, you're supposed to be good. I don't have a big ego about it, but my brain, wants me to go faster, and my body's kind of like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So it doesn't all work together.
I've heard that from a lot of guys that were at your level but don't ride for a while. It's like you still want to go fast, but the motor skills don't really keep up. But you got to be like Emig and Brownie though. Those guys are 50 plus, and they're going just as fast. Hell, like
the weird thing is if you don't do it right and you feel so awkward and off balance, and speed is one thing or going fast is one thing, but not doing it right because you haven't ridden enough is what probably frustrates me the most. It's like, hey, I need to practice what I preach, and I can barely hit this rut no matter where my arms and legs and feet are, Yeah,
that's a common thread too that I've heard in older retired pros. All right, I want to close this out. I'm going to ask you to retell a story I know you've told many times. I've heard it on Steve's show. I don't know if all our listeners have heard it, but can you please retell the Mitch Payton shoe split fire NGK story?
Oh boy. Yeah. So Mitch, as everyone knows, he's pretty hard on everybody. And, we had been up and down, and he'd been like, I'd never in my life been treated the way or talked to the way he would talk to me. And I just couldn't, I don't think he could figure me out, and I couldn't figure him out. And, it was a hard environment because I was brought up just basically try your hardest in everything you do. And what more can you ask for? Well, that wasn't enough for Mitch. So one of the things he did is he thought it was so funny. He bought everybody, these running shoes and, packed them up in a box, and everybody opened them up, and he had a little note, like something along the lines of, hey, these are running shoes. This is something you should, spend some time with. It might help your racing career, or this could help your racing career, or something like that.
Yeah.
Or help you with your racing. Maybe it was simple like that. And, a lot of the guys were kind of pissed. And I was like, yeah, this is cool. We got a new pair of shoes. This is awesome. So it was what it was. It was a big joke. And so, we were split fire at that time. And I had so many problems with the split fire plug it didn't happen much at race, in a race, but practicing, there was so many days out at Glen Helen where I'd break the tip of the plug, and I just finished my moto, so I didn't even care. It got to the point where I just kept riding it, and then I was leading Redbud, and I didn't get a chance to lead many outdoor motocross races. It didn't happen as often. It was a big deal, and I had a pretty good lead, and the spark plug tip broke, and so I kind of milked it in, and I think, I don't know, must have got like 5th or 6th or something. And so that next week, there had been a bunch of going back and forth about NGK plugs and stuff. So I got an NGK plug, and I packed it up in a box, and I gave him a note saying, hey, here's something that might help your race program.
That's great.
Yeah. And, Mitch and I, at that point, we had kind of got through all the down, the hard feelings, and we had a really good respect for each other by then. And, so it was all in good fun, and, he laughed about it, but it was just as true as the shoes, right?
Yeah, for sure. I love it. All right, we're going to ask you one more question. We're going to let you go, Nate. Thank you.
Just on that right there, I have to ask, now that you're the team manager, how do you see that situation?
As in, how would I?
Yeah, like, would you send a rider shoes, or if they sent you like a clutch perch that said, "Here's will help our program," or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I would definitely do that. I've made comments and different things with guys along the way, just from either doing their motos or staying committed or staying, the intensity level or whatever it is. But yeah, made comments on, working out, and, maybe I need to buy you a pair of running shoes so you help with your racing program, Yeah. And, if somebody gave that to me, I can take it. It's not a big deal. I would be able to take it and laugh about it and go, okay, yeah. What, if you give it to me, I'm going to give it back to you. So I think it's all fair.
Awesome.
Yeah, it is kind of funny how, like, that seems to be a theme with moto guys is, I guess we're all thick skinned because of the risk we take and stuff, because like when I'm out at the track and stuff, everybody's just breaking each other's balls, and it's just the way it is.
In
like,
this studio.
Yeah, in this studio, it's just
It's brutal.
You have to it's well, what have you done for me lately kind of thing.
Well, it's it's an extension of your family, so you give each other a hard time, and sometimes you take it too far. I mean, even with our crew, there's times and they all give each other hard times, but there is sometimes when I'm like, hey, guys, like you're taking it too far, and then of course because they're respectful, they're like, okay.
Right.
Maybe somebody gets madder than they should, but it doesn't really matter if they're upset and it throws the balance of the team off, then we've taken it too far.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Nate, man, thank you so much for your time tonight. It's really been a pleasure to get you on here. It's the first time we've had you on, and really appreciate you doing it for us. Yeah,
no problem. I definitely enjoyed it. It was good talking to you guys and doing a little reminiscence. So thank you.
Absolutely. Good luck this weekend at Daytona, and we'll maybe during outdoors we'll get you on again.
All right, sounds good.
All right, Nate. Thank.
All
right, take care. Nathan Ramsey tonight, brought to you by Guts Racing. That was good, man.
A couple years back,
did you know that? Either of you have you heard that story? Yeah. Okay,
a couple years
maybe.
A couple years back, I was at, where was I? I can't remember what stadium we were at. We were doing Futures or something like that. And we were sitting there watching all the practices, and I'm sitting there talking to a guy with a Husky jacket on, and we're just BSing. And Nate had a big beard, like my size, like the beard I have now.
Yeah, big bushy beard, yep.
And we were just talking, and I was like, and he was talking about doing Husky. I was like, oh, yeah, I'm TJ Smith, whatever. He's like, yeah, Nate. And I'm like Ramsey? He's like, but I didn't recognize him at all. We talked for like 45 minutes just sitting there before I even realized who it was, but he had that big, I think he was like incognito. Now he's got, I see the picture, a big mustache. He does not look like he did when he was younger.
Yeah, he looks different.
They're different for sure.
Okay, before we get Hudson on, we're going to do Turt's Take in a minute. You wanted to talk about being at the race versus being at home watching the race. Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, let's do that. We got a few minutes before we got to call Hudson.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to bring up like a little bit, like you went and watched. You only went, and I only watched. You went to the race and watched it.
Oh, back.
Yeah.
Okay, I was like,
I watched the race back.
I thought you meant I went to the race and watched it there.
Oh,
and he only went.
You did. You were in the media.
Do you mean he didn't watch the race?
You were at the media.
Okay,
side,
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you now. Sorry.
I went back and watched the broadcast.
Oh, did you watch it back?
Yeah, for sure.
So okay, we were talking about expenses. What did it cost you? Like we talked about, like we're driving from Tyler. There is an hour drive, and then you had to drive back, hour and a half. Then you got a hotel room. Then you had to pay for parking. Then you had to pay for the races. Did you buy food there?
We ate before.
Yeah.
And then I ate lunch the next day. And
so you didn't buy anything at the stadium?
Well, you still got to count the food, right? That you bought outside the stadium.
Just in general. Just alcohol.
Okay, so how much did, from the time you left your house to you got home, did this cost you?
Well, including the ticket and everything?
Yeah, including everything.
Yeah. Let's see, 100 for the ticket. 140 for the hotel room, so we're at 240. It was $50 for parking.
That was one night in the hotel room.
Dude, that's cheap now.
Yeah.
God bless. No, it's not.
Yeah, it is cheap.
It
the
is
hotel
cheap.
I first booked was $300 for the night.
For an Embassy Suites, it's not
so
bad.
anyways, you spent so go ahead.
So what are we at? Like $50 for parking. So that's what,
$400 almost.
No.
Yeah, you said
100. 240 for the room and the ticket. $50 for parking. That's $290.
It's $300.
$300. Okay.
And then another $100 for a ticket.
I already put the ticket in there.
So you guys are write it down because we can't do this for 20 minutes.
No, he asked.
Anyways,
I don't think you said earlier that you thought I spent more than $500. I don't think I did.
So were you around $500?
Yeah, probably around $450.
And how much was your fuel pump?
For your question.
Yeah, I was not going to answer that question.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Why? I don't
know. I enjoy it, TJ.
Yeah, TJ, it's an experience like for him once a year.
But you have been to how many Supercrosses have you been to?
It doesn't matter.
Hold on. Hear me out.
All my friends went, and we all had a great time.
All my friends went too. But how often are all your friends going riding, and you can't ride because you spent $500 to go watch Supercross when you could have fixed your bike and rode every weekend for the rest of the year?
Is that where you were going with this whole thing? I'll get there, but I didn't.
Doesn't make any sense.
But also, it wasn't like I spent $500 on Saturday. I bought my ticket a couple months ago.
It doesn't matter.
So it wasn't like I took all of one paycheck and spent it, which what I would have to do for the fuel pump.
How much is the fuel pump?
I think, and also there's sensor stuff going on. I'm going to have to go take it to a mechanic. So
it's too bad you don't know any.
Yeah, too bad that none of them extend their help. They just want to make fun of me for not riding their bike. Anyways, we need to move on.
Yeah, you got to stop. Well, you need to stop judging people for doing shit that's fun. Well, it doesn't matter what it costs to
all
us.
the time. I spend ridiculous money all the time.
And that's what he just did. And that's what I do when I go to a concert. But that's what I love to do. It's worth it to me.
Sense.
To you, it doesn't. It doesn't make any sense to fucking eat Wendy's and shit food to me. But that's what you do.
Well, I don't do it.
And you're wrong. We're right.
Yeah, you have a good point. I could have gotten my bike fixed for that same amount of money, yes, but I wouldn't change it.
It's so dumb because you don't have anything.
You're dumb.
When you leave there, you have nothing to show for it. All the stuff I spend money on.
You have the good time and the memories with your friends and stuff. Like you sat at home.
There's people that I don't see all year, and I see them there.
Wife that probably hates you, and we're miserable.
I had a blast. I had a really good night. I got to watch
Redneck
Brawl and Supercross.
I hung out with Aaron Plessinger and
you didn't
Lewis.
hang out with them. They were just
No,
there.
you're right. Okay, I hung out with Lewis and Mathis and went to dinner with Sean and Jeff from Alpine Stars, and we had a good time.
Going to a Supercross and watching it on the broadcast are two completely different things.
Yeah,
okay.
I agree.
And I enjoy both of them.
I have been to probably as many Supercrosses as y'all have.
I will say though that next year I may. We always stay. I may not stay. I may just go home.
I was only going to stay Friday night.
Yeah,
because I had to do press, right? But then I got a nice hotel.
Was staying
because Amber and I we're having like a date night.
It is because hotels are just too expensive.
She wanted to stay the second night instead of leaving at midnight or 1 a.m. and trying to drive home. So I canceled the expensive hotel and got a cheaper hotel. It was $135 a night, and it was actually really nice. But so we stayed 2 nights. But I was just going to do the one night and come home. But we also, like I said, had a little date night.
Yeah,
Friday or whatever.
I'm just saying, I spend money doing stuff, but like. Just you've been to so many Supercrosses, and you would get so much more bang for your buck out of fixing your dirt bike. It doesn't make any sense.
I'm very fortunate. I don't have to pay for the ticket, obviously, anymore. I mean, I did buy food multiple because I like to eat every 2 hours. So
yeah, you realize that if everybody went on that theory, then why the fuck do we even have the races?
Yeah, there wouldn't be a race.
You watch it on TV. The TV package is great.
But they wouldn't have a race in a stadium if people didn't fill
There's
the
plenty of dumb people in there. I know my friends to be the dumb people.
You're the dumb person. That's the whole problem with all these things. You don't realize you're the dumb one. You're the one that's weird.
There was 65,000 other people that
more than that, I think.
70,000 people that completely disagree with
some
you.
of those people can afford it. I just don't think you can.
Well, I did.
I mean, clearly he did.
I got there.
Not in,
he has a job.
But I don't even have
a job. You don't have a job.
I don't even have a job. Well, at least I'm able to take months off if I don't have a job.
To take this back to what we talk about on this show is motocross.
You're good.
Yeah,
trying to get we got about 4 more minutes before we got to call turd.
I think that the more we've talked about this before this show or for the race this weekend, that Arlington is one of the bigger crowds. I think that has a little bit to do with why Chase was trying to get that win.
Maybe
it was loud in there, and there's a lot of energy.
And that stadium carries sound.
Yeah,
down to the
I still think it's
That's
more.
a big
I don't think he
stage.
cares about that. I think he cares about himself, and he needed to win.
That's fair.
I think but that, to me, that is a mental thing.
There were a lot of people
bad.
that I was talking to after the race were saying that, like, man, something always crazy happens in Dallas. Do you think that's because of the size of the crowd has something to do with that, or is it just?
I think it's coincidence.
You think so?
I mean, think like last year, Faulkner had the big crash, or the Cooper getting Kenny in the closest race in history. I think did Marvin get his first win in Dallas? I think so.
It seems like something.
So did
always
Ryan
happens.
Villapoto.
Yeah, but I don't think that's crowd related.
Of course, Baggett.
That was 250 though, right?
That was 250.
Because 450 was in Glendale. I think was
for
Baggett's win was in Glendale. I think. Anyway, that doesn't matter.
But the thing is, I think with Dallas is the reason why you have a lot of crazy things happen is maybe not that win that you're talking about, like the closest win in history. Things happening is that just dirt's weird. You know what I mean? They haven't been racing dirt like that all year. And and it looks like it has traction, and there is like almost no traction in some spots, and you can't tell the difference.
Yeah.
All right, we got our next guest of the night on. He is brought to you by ETS Race Fuels. ETS Race Fuels was forged from the heat of competition nearly 30 years ago, developing purpose-engineered fuel for high-profile teams and highly competitive series. We have been the power behind many podium wins ever since. Teams using ETS racing fuels have won more than 50 national and world champion titles and we continue to forge new alliances and partnerships across motorsports. ETSRacingfuels.com. Sorry about that. Teams like Factory KTM, Factory HRC Honda, Rockstar Husqvarna, and many others trust ETS Racing Fuels. You can find your local distributor by, once again, going to ETSRacingfuels.com. Tonight, ETS Racing Fuels brings us Turd's Take. What's up, Hudson?
What's up, Darkside? How are you?
We're good, man. Good seeing you and your dad and your mom this weekend. Did you have a good time?
Yeah, the racing was super good.
It was. All right, listen, man, let's jump right into Turd's Take. What is your topic tonight?
Okay, so we got a mixture of two going on right now.
All right.
So I'm going to start off with talking about the Spring Nationals coming up.
Yep.
And then I'm going to end about talking about some Supercross safety.
Okay.
What's the AMA that they've been implying, this new safety stuff with the 9 whoops and everything.
Yeah, let's do it.
So, the Spring Nationals, do you think 3 Spring Nationals are too much in a row? Because they're all back to back to back. I don't know if you know the names of them. It's the Daytona Amateur Day.
Yep.
You have the Freestone JS7. Then you also have the Oak Hill Spring-A-Ding.
Yes, I knew they were all back to back. For me, I think that's too much because not everybody has like all this, team green support. And there's people that are trying to do that are doing it on their own dime. And that is very expensive. It's very hard to take off time. I think but again, those things aren't necessarily designed, much like the Loretta's, they're not designed for the weekend warriors. So I guess you have to be all in. But I think spreading them out would be better. What do you think?
Yeah, that's what my next little take was going to be. I think they should be spaced apart a little more because even if you look at the schedule, Freestone's having this SMX on Tuesday, and it's a one-day event. And you would have to drive straight through the night from Daytona, taking no breaks, and you would barely make it the race day of Supercross at Freestone. I think that's way too close.
I agree.
Because most people now aren't even going to do Freestone because it's so close. They're just going to do Daytona and Spring-A-Ding.
Yeah, and so I would say as a parent who's, taking kids to these races and stuff like that, I think that the reason why they do it is because they need to get them out of the way because everybody's focus is now going to be on regional qualifiers. So they have to be done before the regionals because they won't get show-ups because people and the fast kids are going to be so spread across the country going to regionals, getting ready for Loretta's.
Yep, that's true also.
And then after Loretta's, you have, what do you call it, Baja Brawl. You know what I mean?
That's half month after Loretta's.
And then you get the winter time where, half the country can't have races. Maybe you could squeeze JS7 in because Texas still has good weather.
Is it still JS7?
It's still JS7.
Oh, I thought
it's not a featured event anymore.
Okay, I thought the JS7.
Oh, I thought.
Go ahead.
I think Freestone isn't a major anymore. Now it's a feature.
Just a feature, not a major. Okay. That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, same with not Underground, Oak Hill. I'm pretty sure that one isn't a major either. I'm pretty sure it's featured still.
Yeah. But they, I think the reason why they do it is because the schedule, because there's so much put on Loretta's and the time crunch to get everybody to the regionals is why it's scheduled that way.
Yeah, I agree, Hudson. It's a little too much and too tight of a time frame, but it also scheduling these things from different facilities, tracks across the country is probably very difficult. But maybe they can make some adjustments. But
because I looked at the schedule just now, and the first regional is at Three Palms, so there's many on the same date. But the first one by us is Three Palms for the youth, and that's April 31st.
Yep,
is the first day of it. So it kind of makes sense. Yeah, March, you need to get them in so then people can do all their areas and everything.
That's the only reason why it's scheduled that way, because there's much better times of year that have better weather and would be better for families to travel. But like Darkside said, it's one of those things that like you may go do those, and a lot of people would travel to those, but the weekend warriors are going to Swan and they're going to other places and just wish they could go to those races.
Darkside, are we going to try for Loretta's?
I'm doing my area at Swan this Sunday.
Are you going to beat Steve if Steve goes?
Yeah, I'll beat Steve, but Steve's not going to make it either. He's not going to make it through his regional.
And, yeah, he will beat Steve in ruts.
I will beat Steve.
You better beat Steve.
I'll just cut across the ruts and take him out like you did me and then take off.
It's funny. He's never raced you not at Glen Helen.
No,
Yeah.
it's the only place we've ever raced. Yeah, like
you need to invite him out to Swan.
Well, I mean, we've rode together at Millville, and we rode together at Thunder Valley at the ride days, and I was better than him at both those.
I think you would smoke him at Swan.
I don't know. Swan is kind of hard packing fast, which is
Swan's is like, you got to have big balls to go fast at Swan. Swan's gnarly.
Yeah.
Well, I think Steve would be fine there.
That's what I'm saying.
It's anywhere that has like bigger jumps. I definitely got him because he won't do them for the most part. But
we're going to need some short farm training going on.
Yeah, I need to come down. You keep telling me that every time I have you on. I know, Hudson. I'll get there, buddy.
Also with the track prep
for
even just like the winter series and also the amateur nationals, do you think it should be super deep in like slot cars? Like, like Thunder Valley when everyone complained that year that Time Master Pool was doing super good? Or would you rather it not as deep and have close racing?
Yeah, obviously the second one. Yeah, I don't like slot cars. I know. I'd rather you be able to switch lines and and cut up and switch lines and dice it up while you're battling.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I like slot cars, man.
Well, you're wrong. But what do you got on Supercross prep?
So I found this guy named Andrew. He's kind of washed up. He said he used to like race pro or something. I don't even know.
I don't know any Andrews.
Have you ever heard of that guy?
No, man.
No.
I know a Jackie.
Yeah, no. Jackie's like you'd smoke Jackie.
Okay.
Everyone knows who Jackie is.
All right, what do you got?
So I phoned him up basically, and I said, "What do you think about how they should prep the tracks and the safety and everything?" And he said he thinks from his experience, the slower and more technical the tracks, the safer the racing is.
Absolutely.
But the downside to that is the racing's always boring, or not always, but the racing is oftentimes more boring. But like I was going to say, like the triple quad that they took out for Chase, that Chase was doing.
Yeah.
Do you think that was to the point to where it was more technical enough to where they shouldn't have taken it out?
Yeah, I don't think they should take stuff like that out personally. If they're worried about somebody clipping it and going off that berm, they get some more nets. But as many people have said, you have a choice to not jump it. You don't have to do that. I don't. No, I was saying earlier in the show, we talked about this a little bit already, and I don't like all these changes. I don't know if you heard this, but they apparently are not going to put any obstacles before a set of whoops anymore in Supercross. So no rollers,
no doubles even?
Nothing. Apparently you will only you will enter the whoops out of a corner, and that is it.
Well, Daytona has a wall before it.
Maybe. Well, that's also a different. That's not. I guess it's still AMA, but it's not Feld. It's not. I think Dirtworks to take it over, but and maybe they change it, Hudson. I don't know, but that's just what we heard this weekend is that they're going to change that so that there's no more obstacles before whoops.
Do you think 250s would have jumped that quad, the 3-4?
I asked Hayden on press day. I said I actually before Chase had done it, I was like 3-4, and he just laughed. He's like, "No, man." But then, if anybody's going to do it, he would do it. So maybe if he saw the other guys going for it, he might pull the trigger. But I think he'd probably be the only one.
Yeah. This year, I noticed like the racing in the tracks in general, like Glendale was gnarly. It was super fast. And I think that's almost more dangerous. Not almost. I think it is more dangerous. Mm-hmm. That's part of the Thursday take going on. We got the hot takes. I think that's more dangerous. But the good part of that is it brings good racing because everyone's close. It's not super rough. It's not slot cars.
Yeah.
Everyone can change lines. Like that big line that Juju was taking was awesome. I think some other guys did it too.
Glendale was awesome.
Pulled the trigger on that. Yeah. It was crazy. But it was also, if they're going for the safety side, that aspect of it, why are you making a jump? Or why shouldn't they just change that at that point? At some point, you just have to let the riders ride the Supercross track.
Yes. I think it's a fine line, and
you got to find a happy medium.
Yeah, I don't know that there's any real right answer, but I definitely think they're going a little too far. But they're going to do what they want to do, right? It's the change, the progression of the sport, I guess. I don't necessarily love it, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Maybe it reverts back over time. I think at the end of the day, they're trying to make it safer, which is not a bad thing. But maybe what they're doing is not the answer because, the 9 whoop rule, like I said multiple times, we saw what happened to Jordan this weekend and 9 whoops didn't change a thing.
Nope, happened on the 4th.
Yep, there you go. Hudson, dude, thank you for.
I have one question for Hudson.
Go ahead.
Hudson, what have we learned about dynos?
Dynos?
Oh man, you're gonna do this again. Oh, we got the inertia dyno. That's what we did ours on. It's very accurate. Motocross action. It measures the same as motocross action, so we get the accurate numbers.
Yeah.
Fastest 125 ever made. Ryder's the only person that's the problem.
There you go.
Okay, that's what we learned.
Definitely don't have the fastest 125 ever made. My bike's not holding me back by any means.
Yeah, that pulled up on my feed the other day, and I was laughing at it, and your dad was giving you a hard time. It was fun.
Do you think what they're doing to the tracks is helping safety? I mean, we just said Jordan Smith 9 whoop rule. It happened on the 4th whoop, whatever. But do you think anything like taking out these jumps is helping with safety?
No. I mean, look at the injuries we're still having. I mean, look at how Eli got hurt. It wasn't on anything significant. It was a freak injury. Jordan got hurt in the whoops. Who was
the nets don't even save people.
Yeah, we got Henry Miller missed the net. That would have been, see, if we had more nets, that would have probably saved him getting banged up and Chase getting hurt. No, I don't think so. I don't think it's really working. I just think this is an inherently dangerous sport, period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
all right, Hudson.
I don't know.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Well.
No, I was just thinking like, I don't know what the next step is if they're that concerned about the safety of what they're going to do. I mean, just make the track an oval. Like, people are still going to get hurt on an oval.
Yeah, I mean, look at
the whole thing is dirt bikes are dangerous.
Yep, 100%.
That's the reality.
It is. All right,
do you think for the motocross, a pro motocross, I had this as a little note here because I wanted to see your opinion on this. Do you think I noticed MXGP only spot preps in some sections over the whole weekend. Do you think that should be implemented to motocross like they shouldn't full prep after practices or qualifying at the amateur races?
Well, Hudson, we're slow vet guys, so when they take out big gnarly ruts, we're not
I'm going to say I'm indifferent.
Yeah.
I'm indifferent either one. At the pro level, either way is fine with me. I'm indifferent to the prep.
And the reason why they only spot prep at the GPs or big like pro stuff like that, and at the amateurs they do a full prep is because at the amateur races you have 500 bikes. And so the track, if you didn't do that, would get way gnarlier than any national track would.
I know, that'd be fun, dude. You don't want that?
No,
I don't mind watching it, but I am not riding it.
You know, I mean, if they're not worried about safety at the amateur races, I don't see them taking out all the jumps, man. It's going to be better racing.
Yeah, it's a dangerous sport, like we said. I don't think there's any way to make it much safer. There's a fine line with it anyway.
All right, I'll see you at the short farm on Monday. Or next Monday. Report to the office.
Okay, I'll try to make that happen, Hudson.
I'll make sure he's there, Hudson.
I got you. Ready.
All right, buddy. All right, thanks for joining us, man. For the ETS Racing Fuels Turds Take. All right, we'll see you, bud.
Nope. He's gone.
He's gone.
He was done with you.
He's out.
You better show up.
Okay, let's move on to the T-Bolt USA Top 5. I love Turd.
Yeah, he's a good kid.
If you're
he always gets good. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
You're good.
The chat always loves him.
Yeah. I like how he was like, I called this Andrew guy up. You ever heard this? It's funny.
Somebody in the chat asked if it was the guy from the Michelin tire commercial.
Oh, Dylan, Dylan,
Superfan. And I'm like, no, this is not. Because remember Dylan? Yeah. They're like, no, Dylan was a grown man with a child's voice.
Here. Yeah.
All right, T-Bolt USA Top 5. If you're a pit bike enthusiast and love shredding around on a CRF 110, KLX 110, or whatever you have, you need TBoltUSA.com bookmarked on your web browser. T-Bolt USA is a pit bike supply site that has everything you need for your pit bike. From BBR handlebars to D&M shocks and even full bikes from YCF and Pitster Pro bikes. T-Bolt USA has it all. They even have stuff for the Chinese bikes that are so difficult to find, and you'll find pit bikes, engines, and parts at tboltusa.com. T-Bolt USA Top 5 this week was top 5 things you would take on a desert island. I had to clarify today, is this like legitimate things you would want to survive, or could it be just the top 5 things you want to have with you?
What's the question? What would you take to an island to survive?
Yeah.
So,
well, okay, I said, music is so important to me. I want to take music.
That's
And once my music runs out, my battery, my iPod dies, I'm probably just going to swim.
What good did that do you?
It kept me from what comes next, which is I'm going to swim as far out as I can to not make it back. Once my music's gone,
very weak mentality.
You want to do your list first because his sounds
ahead.
depressing.
I'm going to bring one of those like water purifier water bottles.
Okay.
That I can like just get salt waters there.
I didn't think about that desalinator.
Yeah, well, they have those, right? They have those water bottles.
I think so.
Yes,
that's a good one.
A pack of lighters.
Okay.
A cot bed pillow makeup thing. A knife.
Yeah.
And a shovel.
That's a good list.
I feel like you can pretty much do.
I think mine's better, but go yeah.
Because you have the lighter, you can start a fire, you can cook food.
I like that.
You have a knife, you can make a sphere and catch fish. You can dig a hole and plant, whatever.
Yeah.
Water. Well, water. I'm going to survive on the water because I have the water bottle.
The desalinator was a good one. I don't know why I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
What did you say you were going to make with a knife?
A spear to catch fish.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Cool. That's good.
Or crabs.
I would have bet money you said sphere. Like you're going to the spear.
I mean, we know I have problems, okay?
No, that's fine. Those are, what was yours, TJ?
Oh, you want to do mine?
Yeah.
First off,
mine sucks.
I was going to just think of like a thing, and I was like one of those fishing packs from like where you could buy like it's like a little fishing pole and some tackle.
Oh, yeah, just like
a kit.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Like a kit of some
the
sort.
Rambo knife that has all those things, a compass and knives, or
that's a good
knife and matches. And
a solar generator.
Oh, that's what one of mine was a solar panel. Shit, I forgot.
A smartphone.
Yours are way better than mine.
Had a smartphone with and then my number 4 Starlink. And then since I have a solar generator,
you wouldn't try to survive. You would just sit there and chill.
Yeah, well, I'll be able to survive with it. I got fishing, and then I got power for the Starlink and for my phone. And then since I'm gonna have a solar generator, I'm gonna bring an electric bike too.
All right. Well, in that case, I'm gonna bring a helicopter, a boat, a raft.
To survive there. Come on now.
Well, that's stupid. I mean, my list sucks, man. I put knife, blanket, a book.
That's good.
A boat.
What book? What book?
Probably The Dark Tower.
The whole
book
series?
3.
Oh.
You just read it over and over again?
You just tape all
Not Song of Susanna.
no, that's not
Wizard and Glass.
That's a good one.
That's my favorite one.
You would just read it over and over
again?
again?
Yeah, I've already read it like 6 times. I love it. It's my favorite book ever.
Like 3 or 4 times the whole series.
Yeah. My dumbass said matches instead of lighters. They're going to get wet and I'm done.
I just thought about this.
So I'm going to die very soon.
Me and TJ, if our lines met, we'd be doing all right.
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'd have a fire pit going.
I'm just going to sit there and cry.
Take turns riding dirt bikes?
Yeah.
I'm just going to sit there and cry. I have no music and like, fuck it.
Right.
I guess I would, if I had to take one out, I might
The desalinator was shit.
I thought like
the
in my
solar
mind
power
I was
was one
like,
I thought of.
Okay, so in my mind I was like some way to make fresh water, but I didn't really know what it was called, and I just
They have water bottles that'll do it.
really like you just pour salt water in and it does it like you shake it.
Yeah,
something?
something.
I don't know I don't know if a water bottle.
There's a kit or
Clearly,
something.
I don't
There's
know
something
shit
that
about
you can
survival.
buy.
You have to. Anyways, a desalinator usually works off a sun, and I got to go through how it works. But anyways, go ahead.
Like we've talked before when we talked about like our things to take camping, and I'm like a hotel. Yeah. I'm not a camper. I'm damn sure not going to survive very long on a desert island.
You just need like an iPad and a little charger just to keep your music going.
I know what I'm taking with me.
What'd you take?
One of you two fuckers.
That's good. All right, cool.
Damn, but then that'd make me want to kill myself too.
I got an electric dirt bike to ride.
You wouldn't be too upset.
Who would you take? Who would you take? No,
actually,
not
you know
the person.
what?
Not the person. Whose stuff would you take? Like I've got.
Scotty had better stuff.
Really?
I don't know. He had the solar power.
I had solar
That's
power.
True too.
I forgot that.
Charge your tablet or your iPod.
My iPod. Okay, so I'm taking TJ, and he's more mechanically inclined.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
yeah, TJ's my guy.
Yeah, that's fair.
Now, once we get rescued, I may kill him.
Just leave me there.
Yeah.
Dude, can you imagine?
He's like, he'd be on the other side of the island trying to do something like, yes, it's me, man.
Dude, can you imagine spending all morning with like your wooden spear and you finally caught a crab and Darkside's like, oh, I don't like crab.
No, I'm good with crab.
Or like,
TJ would be like, yeah, crab's too expensive.
Yeah,
I don't like crab. I mean, crab legs are okay. The fake crab legs are delicious.
I'd be like using what I've created on this island to cook food. And be like, dude, don't put that on there. I don't like that. Like, this doesn't taste very good, Scotty.
Well, as long as you don't put like mayonnaise or something on it.
Yeah.
Whatever, dude.
You don't want to know where that mayonnaise came from.
I'm sure if I got that hungry, I'd be okay. But anyway, all right. All right, good list. MotoXpodShow@gmail.com. Hit us up with your list. Again, like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Do it right now. Like and subscribe right now. Do it.
Do it. Just do it
now. All right, Barnett clutches, pick one. Barnett Dirt Digger clutch kits have 75 years of experience behind every kit. Engineered for maximum performance, Dirt Digger clutch kits feature friction materials formulated exclusively for Barnett. Get yours at barnettclutches.com and get 10% off with promo code VITALMX. That's all caps. Barnett clutches pick one this week was choice of music generations, basically the 70s, 80s, 90s, or 2000s. Who wants to go first?
I have
this
the right
is
answer.
an impossible.
If you want the right answer, I can give it to you.
There is no right answer.
There is. The 90s.
You're wrong.
The 90s. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because it had the best rock music. It had the best of the grunge, because that's like the main part of it. It had the best rap music at the time, and the hip hop. Like
I think I originally said rock, though. Did I say rock, or did I just say music?
You might have.
No, we can go just music.
But just music in general, it's the 90s. Point blank, period. They just had the best music. Like the best of every genre.
Go ahead.
Oh, you want me to go? Like, I disagree.
Yeah.
I feel like there's equal greatness amongst different bands of every year.
Okay, so I guess I'll go ahead.
Okay, so like in the 70s, like I just wrote lists of bands. Like, okay, you got Zeppelin, Sabbath, Bad Company, Eagles, some of the best music, in my opinion, ever created.
And disco. And disco.
Well, disco is pretty good.
Okay, I just kicked out the 70s.
There you go. See, that's what
No,
I'm saying.
but really, no.
You can say that none of that 80s and 90s and any of that stuff, rock stuff, would have happened if it wasn't for Zeppelin. So.
Doesn't matter what would have happened. If I'm just saying the best generation, because it had the broadest good choices.
Okay, I'm not picking that way. I'm picking by the music that I like.
I don't feel like that's true either.
So, yeah, I don't either. Hair bands is what got me into music to begin with.
The worst.
Like, those bands, the reason I love music so much started with bands like Poison and Motley Crue.
Hell yeah.
I don't love your opinion, but like Guns N' Roses, late 80s, one of the best bands. Appetite for Destruction may be the greatest album of all time for me.
Didn't that come out in like 91?
No, I was still in Hawaii at the time, so it would have been 88 or 89.
Okay, I thought
he is one of 70,000 people that don't
That's
like
also the other problem is
Supergrass.
some of these bands like that I love, the Guns N' Roses, the Metallica. Okay, so my two favorite albums.
It's really put dark in a pickle.
Two of my favorite albums of all
really
time
good choice.
are Appetite for Destruction
Okay.
and Metallica's Master of Puppets. Those are both in the 80s.
And those are your best favorite.
Those are probably my number 2 and number 3. They're almost perfect albums in my opinion. But my favorite album right now is Fear Inoculum, the newest Tool album. So that's like I'm screwed. But then one of my all-time favorite bands is Great White from the 80s. Technically a hair band or a blues band.
so terrible.
That's your opinion again. Okay, but then you got 90s.
And he's wrong anyway. So
look,
it doesn't
90s,
matter.
you got Alice in Chains,
Yes.
Soundgarden,
Yes.
Yeah.
Korn and Slipknot Korn and Slipknot started in the
Pearl
later
Jam.
90s, but then some of their best stuff was in the 2000s.
And then you got Snoop Dogg. And
yeah,
you
I'm
got,
out on all that stuff.
It doesn't matter. Like
I'm picking for me,
I
mother.
don't care about you. You're wrong.
You know what? I curse your name for this pick. Like okay, hip hop. The hip hop I like. I love Eminem, which is very what's the word I'm looking for a white guy like Eminem? What is it? That's very
Stereotypical.
yes. But like if I really go back to the
never
hip hop
spell
that
that.
I really, really would listen to would be 80s, like Run DMC and LL Cool J. Houdini.
LL Cool J would have been early 90s at the top of LL Cool J when he had all the...
Bad came out in like 85.
Okay.
I'm notorious. I'll crush you like a jelly bean. LL, I'm bad.
Yeah, please don't do that.
I need love. Come on, man. I mean, the greatest rap ballad of all time. I need love. I don't know how it goes. But that's the rap that I like.
Mark and the Funky Bunch?
Spitting. I'm so wound up. I'm spitting on my mic.
You
So are you gonna choose one?
You gonna choose one?
No.
You have to. That's part of this.
Pantera. 90s or no?
Listen, but you have to.
I think a Pantera in the
Aerosmith.
80s.
You have
70s?
forced...
80s, 90s,
Yeah,
2000s.
But I put them with 70s.
You have forced
Dude, their
us...
best albums were in the 80s.
Hey, you have forced us to pick on this stuff before. You have to pick 1 year or one generation or decade, I guess.
Fuck.
He's so,
Okay, give me is this like Desert Island? This is
Yep,
all I get to
Desert
do.
Island,
Yeah.
you only that
You can only listen to that. Yeah, that's good. Only listen to that year.
that
genre.
decade.
Yeah, that decade.
Albums that came out in that decade.
that decade. That's it.
Yes, albums and songs.
Okay, then I'll go 90s.
Told you. I'm right. I told you.
Because Guns N' Roses put albums out in the 90s.
Man.
No, because Guns N' Roses, Metallica,
it's the
GNR
best.
all put albums out in the 90s. Candlebox, Korn, Slipknot's first album, Tool's first 3 albums were in
Nirvana.
the 90s. Yeah, Pantera was in the 90s. I'll go 90s.
There you go. What's your pick?
Well, I mean, but put it that way, I don't know. Probably 70s.
Really?
Yeah, I just
It's hard to go against like the
that's
Zeppelin,
what's cool
first
about
Zeppelin
this one
albums
is that
and
there's really no
Sabbath.
wrong choice.
Yes, there is. Yours.
Oh my God, TJ.
The 90s is the answer. For
There's a lot of people that.
But then
the
I
90s
lose.
is not the best music.
But then I get Use Your Illusion instead of Appetite.
And I love 80s music too.
And I get the
I
Black album instead of Master of Puppets.
I
I-
love like I might have to go. I don't know. I might have to go 80s.
But I lose
'cause
the White Album.
I
when
love,
did Saint
Beatles.
Anger come out? Because that whatever year that was, or that
I love Metallica. I love
you get
hair
Tool in the
metal.
90s.
I love
3 albums.
I love Guns N' Roses, which Appetite is in the 80s.
Yep.
And I even like 80s.
Purple
like,
Rain, one of the greatest albums ever made.
like you got
80s.
Michael Jackson in the 80s and stuff like that. I know that's not really.
He had some great
You're
songs,
talking
but,
about
yeah.
what's the best genre of music and
genre,
or best
the
decade. And it's me. It's either 70s or 80s.
somebody in the chat said, "Boy George." That's
I mean-
the 90s, right?
That's
Yeah,
80s. No,
Culture,
Boy George- Culture Club.
Culture Club. Yeah, that's that. Come on.
Was that 90s? That was 90s.
No, that's 80s.
80s. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Depeche Mode, 80s.
Yeah. See, I like
Not really my kind of music, but
No, I
really
like
great
that.
music. Though
Yeah.
it just wasn't my kind of music. But so this
I like
is
that stuff.
really to do a true answer. It's impossible.
Yeah,
for
that's
me.
why I picked it because it's such a good. It's such easy to argue about.
But you picked 70s. I picked
See?
the 90s. The 90s has the best.
To you.
No. Even to you, you
No,
said it.
but it really
But see-
doesn't. Like that certainly isn't the best
Hold on.
Metallica albums.
I think the
No,
only
what I
reason I
mean
picked
is-
70s is because I could listen to Zeppelin.
I think you're misunderstanding
I can
what I'm
just
saying.
listen to 'em over and
It's
over and
the
over
best answer to this question. It may not
guess.
be the best music.
I'm torn between 90s and 80s because there's a lot of I just recently rediscovered the band Tora Tora from the 80s.
Well,
Dude, sounds like Robert Plant. Such a great.
isn't most of Ozzy's stuff in the 70s? Like his earlier stuff, like his Randy stuff.
No, that was 80s.
It was 80s?
That was
Okay.
all 80s. I mean, 80s, 90s, 2000s.
Tears
Yeah, I
of
mean,
Fear.
he kept going. But
Yeah. Tears for Fears. That would be 80s.
80s,
Yeah.
80s.
That's, again, not my kind of music, but yeah, they were definitely a very popular group. I don't even know if
I mean, I'm a huge Cars fan, and I would no longer listen to them just because.
we know you like Fiero and.
Oh, the Fiero's a great.
I love the Cars. That's a good band.
Oh yeah.
I'm torn, man. I almost want to go back to 80s.
I love how.
Hey,
how much this
I'll
message-
switch mine to 80s if you do. Just so we can.
But
Just so
then
we
I
can
lose
prove.
Tool.
But then we can
He
prove
loses
Completely.
Tool. He
But we
loses
can
his
prove
favorite
TJ
band
wrong.
of
But
all
we can
time.
prove TJ
He
wrong.
can't lose Tool.
I can't lose Tool, man.
Yeah,
I
see,
can't.
that was hard for me. I couldn't lose Zeppelin. Zeppelin and Floyd. Like I just.
Yeah, I can't lose Tool.
I lost the Beatles. That's one of my favorite
This was
bands.
60s. I didn't even say 60s.
70s.
Most
the
of this
White
stuff
album.
was
The
in-
White
most-
album came out in the 70s.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't look.
It is kind of hard because a lot of them bleed over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, all right. Well, yeah. That was a good one. That was
You
a
need
good
to come up with that one for next week. Which
I don't
we
know if
have.
I don't know. I got to keep one that gets you as distraught as that because that was awesome.
Yeah, music stuff. That's tough, man. Whew. That's tough. All right. Let's close this thing out with the FXR picks for Daytona. FXR is designed by racers for racers with industry-leading fit, finish, and performance. Progression is the name of the game with every new piece created. At FXR, we push our brand to the next level to provide you with the best product possible. Used by the Muck-Off FXR Club MX Yamaha team, including Cody Schock on the podium this weekend, Mike Brown, Brock Tickle, Kiefer, Benny Bloss, and many more. FXR has core motor roots. Visit FXRRacing.com or go to your local dealership to see the complete 2025 line. Okay, let's do an FXR giveaway. Hat and shirt. Here's what I want. I want the winner of each class. Who wins 450 Daytona? Who wins 250 Daytona? And I'm sure multiple people probably will get this one right. And if that happens, we'll just draw out of the hat for a t-shirt and hat from FXR. MotoXpod@gmail.com to give us your picks. We are going to pick, as usual, our 450 podium and the winner of the 250 class. Okay?
I have no clue on the
Oh.
winner of the 250.
All right.
Are you just going to kind of just gloss over a very important thing that happened?
I don't know. Am I?
You want to look at your paperwork because I'm pretty sure I was right last week. I'm pretty sure I picked the 450 podium exactly.
I thought I looked. Nope, you got Cooper Webb, Ken Roczen, Chase Sexton.
Yeah.
Oh, it was. Kenny did get second.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened, bud.
Good for you, Scotty. You finally got one right.
I got one.
Got one right.
I didn't get the 250s right, but I
ends the show on a positive.
Yeah. I forgot that I had Ken and Chase.
No, you're wrong.
Yep.
It lists the podium.
Okay, so Scotty, 450 podium.
I'm going to Sexton's going to bounce back. I'm going to go Sexton, Webb, Mookie.
Oh, I was sitting here thinking Mookie could definitely because he's going to be really
250 winner.
Deegs. Oh, wait, is it? No, it's back to East Coast.
You just lost.
Yeah, they skip back and forth. I'm sorry. RJ.
Okay.
I will go Sexton, Plessinger, because he was really good outdoors last year. Maybe this will.
He needs something.
It's gonna be a big jump.
I'm with you. He needs it.
I think his jump is going to be like that, something crazy like that.
We just all of a sudden get second. I could see that.
And then probably Webb. And I don't think it's just because Plessinger straight beat him, if that makes sense. Tip over or something along those lines. And then Kitchen.
Okay.
Kitchen's going to be healthy.
I've got Cooper winning, Sexton in second, Ken Roczen third, Kitchen winning.
Yeah, I think Cooper will be up there, probably first or second, and then tip over or something.
I know that every race isn't going to be like this because it never is, but it's kind of hard not to pick the podium to have Sexton, Kenny, and Cooper in it.
I
know that's not going to happen every week.
How has Kenny's history at Daytona been? I don't think it's been.
He's okay. He's like always kind of right there behind Eli.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like if I was going to switch that out with anybody, maybe Justin Cooper. Maybe the whoops have been his downfall. He looked really good at Arlington. Hopefully a little bit of motivation.
I thought he was going to win that first one.
Yeah. Justin Cooper. If I was going to switch my third place guy, it would be Justin Cooper.
I have a question real quick before we close out. What do you think about it? What would you think if they did a round like Daytona or whatever and did not have whoops at the race?
I don't like that. You gotta have whoops in Supercross.
Okay.
Yeah, at SMX we don't have whoops.
I know. I just didn't know. I'm saying like Daytona.
Don't like it.
Okay.
Don't like it. Okay. Anything else before we close this out?
Nope.
All right, I want to thank our presenting sponsors, Racetech and Yamaha Motor USA. I want to thank X-Brand, Evans Coolant, Guts Racing, T-Bolt USA, Barnett Clutches, ETS Racing Fuels, FXR, Pro X. I want to thank Eli Tomac and Nate Ramsey. I guess I'll thank you two guys. But yeah, we'll be back next week, and see you soon.